Hello, my Teaserking family. How the hell is everybody today? Well, the Lions saga continues. If you bet on them, you lose. If you bet them over, you lose. If you bet under, you lose. If you bet against them, you lose. What a freaking nightmare. All right, so we had Green Bay winning 23-20. We get Adam Jones back, but I don't see, this is where the scam starts. He wasn't ready. He still had a bad hamstring. He was only listed. He played a few plays, got no yards. Hamstring was still bothering him. So what the fuck? And I have a feeling this is what's happening to a lot of these teams that are very – the problem – I like consistency. You know I like streaks. If red's hitting, I'm going to play red. If black's hitting, I'm going to play black. So you get this shit. And what do you do with it? You know, who are the Lions? Okay, they beat KC on a fluke because Kelsey doesn't play and the guy drops 10 passes. Okay, so the Lions probably should have won it. They lose to Seattle. Smith throws for 500 yards. No pressure on the quarterback. Okay. So now, they look like an over team. They played KC in the 40s. They played Seattle in the 60s. They're an over team. They play Atlanta. They win 20-6. Scratching your head going, what the fuck? Where's their points? Does Atlanta have this great defense that we now need to be contending with? So then we go and we get them against Green Bay as a road favorite. I look at Jordan Love's stats, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. Not that he's a great quarterback, but he's okay. He's not really the problem, like Lamar or these other idiots. Okay, fine, I can live with it. They're a home dog to Detroit. How good is Detroit? They beat Atlanta 20-6 at home. We cancel the KC game and they lose to Seattle, so we don't know. Seattle's a passing team. We expect the Green Bay to be able to put up some points. But what did the Lions do? They ran the guy from Chicago. Thought he was back at Iowa State. They ran him like 35 times. What is that? So I don't even think the Lions know what they are. He didn't run 35 times against Seattle. Didn't run 35 times against Atlanta. Now you're running him 35 times. With Tennessee, we know it's going to be Derrick Henry getting 35 carries. With KC, we know Mahomes is going to throw the ball 40 times. Pacheco and Chocolate Eclair will get 10, 15 carries. We know Joe Burrow is going to throw the ball. And we know he's got Mixon. He's going to mix it up, but it's basically Joe Burrow. We know what Herbert's going to do in San Diego. We know Kirk Cousins is going to throw the ball 40 times. We know what we know, and we can then bet on why did I take San Diego over Minnesota last week? Because I knew what San Diego is. They got Herbert. They're going to throw the ball. They're going to score. Minnesota's going to throw the ball and score, and neither of them can stop the win. But that's what happened. So we knew that's what was going to happen. So if how do you bet? You look at the past to determine the future. The Detroit past is so unpredictable for the future. It's just I'm just gonna ignore Detroit. I mean, they're the most inconsistent, terribly coached team, and yet they win. You usually hear the radio guys today. They think they won the Super Bowl. These idiots are like, they're the best team in the conference. or into the division. Well, look who's into the division. Chicago, which couldn't win a game in the Big Ten. You've got Minnesota, who maybe could win in 2 games in the Big Ten, and Green Bay, who apparently can't win a game in the Big Ten. So you've got all this crap teams, and you say, well, look how good Detroit is. Well, yeah, but they're like the U.S. dollar. They're the best of the worst. I'm going to have some good economics to show you today. But I'll wait for Bobby for that. Well, I'll give him a little bit. So, with that said, I had 23-20. I had a close game. I took the dog. Should have had it. I got to the end. He throws an interception. Would have been 34-27. I'm not sure where their defense was. I'm not sure where their offense was in the first half, but they were down 10. And they just didn't show up, Green Bay. First, I thought it was the coach who had a bad game plan, who didn't run Adam Jones more. But as I'm thinking about it, he probably wasn't healthy. In which case, you shouldn't play the guy. You can't give him the ball 20 times. What the fuck's he out there for? And if you could have, then why didn't you? You cannot let Jordan Love win the game for you. He's not a good quarterback. So, knowing that, you don't want him throwing the ball 40 times. I mean, he's no better than Fields. He holds the ball. He can't read the blitz. He's holding the ball 4 or 5 seconds. You don't have that in the NFL. And if the guy's covered, you got to change the play at the line, or you got to dump it off to your back or something. Now, that's the coach really not having coached the quarterback well. You've only had 3 years with the quarterback, so by now I think if you don't have it now, he ain't going to get it. He doesn't need to be on the field if he's been with the team for 3 years. So with that said, I think the coach is terrible. I've always thought that because Aaron Rodgers clearly was throwing games. He didn't like the coach, didn't agree with the plays, and just haven't done anything. But this is the problem. I find the league to be very weak right now. I think the coaches are extremely weak. The players are incredibly weak. Yeah, you have your Mahomes and your Burrow, but then look what you got. You got fucking Bryce Young and Richardson and Stroud starting. So the guys like this can come in and just start because so weak. And these guys are not good. And Van Dyke, Hartman, Rising coming in. Mahomes comes in and doesn't start for a year. Montana comes in. I don't think he started the first year. I think it was, what's his name? The Berg. I think the Berg started. You don't start these guys first year. They can't be that bad. I mean, Davis Mills is better than Richardson or Stroud, whatever team he's on. So we're running into this confusion. Who do we have? How do they coach? How do they play? Okay. Let's quickly take a look at the NFL lines. And we'll look at today's college action. As of 1:19 on September 29th for games this weekend. Now, remember, this game's in London. We got Jacksonville 343.5. Didn't move. We got Buffalo 353.5. Didn't move. Minnesota 4.5, 46.5. Didn't move. Denver 3.5, 46. Didn't move. They'll all start moving like Sunday morning when the sharps start betting, because the sharps can't bet now. They don't know who the fix is on. Cleveland 1.5, 39.5. I think this went down from 2.5. Probably some injury to offensive linemen, like it matters. And over under down to 39.5. Okay. Pitt 341.5. Okay, hasn't moved. Indy 1.5, 45.5. Okay. New Orleans 3.5, 39.5. Philly 8.5, 43.5. Cincinnati 2.5, 41. San Diego 5.5, 49.5. I think that's down. Yeah, no, that's where it was yesterday. 49.5. I think it was. Yeah, I think that's somewhere around there. Dallas 6.5, 43.5. We got San Francisco 14, 44.5. We got Kansas City 8.5, 41.5. My Jets, Jets. And Seattle's now a 1.5 point favorite, 47.5. And as I said, that's why I told you ahead. I told you 3 days ago to get the bet in on this game because we want Seattle as the dog. This is why I bet early for exactly this reason. My bet's are already in. I've got Seattle in 7.5 and 2 big bets. So when you see them as the dog to the Giants, I mean, that's a joke. They're a dog to the San Francisco. I've gotten burned on that one before, where they get blown out. They're not getting blown out in this game. Let's see. I'm just highlighting the bets I've made. Mm-hmm. 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 All right. So the key to all this is consistency and expected outcome, as I say. So what is the expected outcome has to be the same. Pardon me. So we're driving the expected outcome, but we need consistency to get it. Most of the teams give us this, but the real bad teams are inconsistent. Like the Denver-Chicago game, what is the expected outcome there? So let me go through my scores. I wasn't that far off yesterday. I had 23-20 Green Bay, they got 20, but Detroit got 34. That wasn't expected. Atlanta 24-17. Buffalo 35-30. Denver. Now this could go anyway. I got 42-35 because I think Russell Wilson will light up Chicago, and I think Fields will be able to obviously run on Denver if it's the same as last week. Cleveland 17-6. Cincinnati 2017. It looks like Burrow is getting healthier, but not healthy. The Rams 24-14 over Indy as a dog. New Orleans 17-14 with Tampa. Winston in and Kamara's back. Look for an Army Navy game there. Washington Philly. I got Philly 34-20. They look good. They're starting to get the groove in. That's what happens when you don't have the training camp. So it really fucks you up is you don't have the training camp. They don't have the preseason games. Nobody plays. And then the bye. So you almost throw out week 1 and 2, which is fucking with my expected outcomes. Right? I lost. I got it. I told you. But we're trying to look at it and understand it. And that's what we're looking and understanding. A team like Detroit, very inconsistent, is not giving you a good expected outcome. You don't know what the expected outcome is. You don't know what you're going to get from them. 37-31 loses to Seattle, and they beat Atlanta 20-6. That's not consistent. Kansas City, we get the same every week. San Diego, Miami, Buffalo, Cincinnati. We know what we're getting. With them, we don't. Okay, so Minnesota 31-24, Pitt 14-10, San Diego 35-20, and where Carr is in concussion, but he'll probably play, I'm sure. At the end of the day, the guys are all healthy enough to play. They shoot them up, obviously. Dallas 21-13, Frisco 31-10. They will be ready for Arizona. Kansas City 21-17 over my Jets. I think the defense is going to be tough on Mahomes, and he'll do enough to win. And then Seattle 27-10 over the Giants. I think the problem with Zach Wilson is he's played who? Buffalo, which you didn't know he was going to start. Then he goes and plays Dallas. How good is he going to look playing Buffalo and Dallas defense? And then he gets the last week against New England. So he's played 3 pretty good defensive teams. I'd like to see, other quarterbacks, what they would look like. He hasn't gotten the Bears yet, or Jacksonville or Indy. That's the problem. So that's why another thing is you can't just look at the number. You got to look at who they played. Because once you look at just the number, you've got to dig into it. So I got an email from one of our students who asked about algorithms and picking games. And, so he shows me what happened last week. This is what the algorithm predicted. Okay. So 1 week after a good week, then he sends me a little college and a little bit of this week's pros. And he says, but it doesn't factor in injuries and weather. And, it's like, well, then what? It's worthless. Because you have different variables that you must factor in, sort of like the Jets playing Dallas and Buffalo and New England. You're going to think they're low scoring, but if they were to play the Bears, they'd probably put up 30 points like everybody else. And that's really the point of it. Against these teams, which teams are you playing? Why would the Lions play a 20-6 game against Atlanta and then put up 34 on Green Bay when they played each other to a 25-24 game? So anyway, it's just Ask yourself why you won a bet and ask yourself why you lost. And sometimes you just lose. Sometimes it's just they were right there. Could have ended 27-20. I think the Lions got a late touchdown, or Green Bay was at the goal line and threw an interception. Where was Green Bay in the first half? The kid threw 3 interceptions. Why aren't you running the ball more? So it's I think it's a lot of bad coaching, especially offensive and defensive coordinators. Okay, so those are the lines. So I got to give you a new free pick. So the free pick was Green Bay as a dog with Seattle, who I told you to get in as the dog. So those are basically gone. If you haven't bet Seattle yet, now they're favored. If you betted Green Bay, Seattle teaser, you've lost it. And now you can't really bet Seattle back. So I'll have to give you a new game to play with Seattle, and let's play the under in the Baltimore-Cleveland game. So when we look at that, I got the quarterbacks. When we look at it, we ask ourselves, well, why? Well, Cleveland's got the best defense, statistically giving 11. They played Seattle, a couple of decent teams. They beat Cincinnati. Who did they beat last week? Last week, Cleveland beat Tennessee 27-3. So they're playing with this Jim Schwartz defense, one of the changes we're catching on to. And they've given up 11 points. So people probably don't know how to defend it yet or don't know how to attack it. Baltimore's got Lamar. It's a big handicap right there. And then what do they do? So I think it'll be low scoring. It's a 39, 40 points, depending on where you go. All I can say is, would you please shop around? The friend I'm dealing with, he pays 20% juice. He doesn't shop. We get bad lines right and left. I tell him you should not be paying 120. You should be paying 110. You should have multiple services because you should shop for the best line. So anyway, that's you've got to do that because the juice will kill you. That's an extra winner I got to get to cover the juice you're losing when we do lose on the 120. Anyway, so that is our pro look. There is one lock teaser so two teams are locked in the pros, 4 or 5 other games. I had Detroit. I had Green Bay in a teaser, so that lost. Okay, we're not made off. We're not going to go 100%. So people really need to understand that. I think they do. Once in a while, I get buyers who like, oh, you lost. Yeah. I know one guy here asked me, well, do you win every week? No, it's impossible. Unless you're made off and unless you're betting after the game, you are going to have some losers. But you've got to realize that. I mean, you've got to understand what we're doing. We're trying to predict what's going to happen, which is hard enough. That's why I tell you, be careful who you're listening to. I at least break it down for you, right? But you hear a guy on BetMGM or on the radio or on ESPN, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They can't predict. They can't predict in my league anyway. So this is where you guys come up with these strange games. Somebody will say, oh, I like this one. And then, or Lee Corso or Herb Kirkstreet or somebody. And you're like, what do you think of this one? Why? Because they liked it. You wanted to know if I agree with them. You're doing it backwards. You shouldn't be listening to them in the first place. You do your own homework, come up with your own picks, listen to what I pick. I pick every game. I don't bet every game, and some are stronger and weaker than others. But I'm giving you an idea what is the expected outcome. But sometimes they're 60%, sometimes they're 90%. The locks are the 90% ones that I'm like, yeah, that's what's going to happen. And I'm not playing Marshall and Old Dominion because I don't know the teams well enough. All I can think is it should be a low-scoring game because Marshall's a very low-scoring game. That's about it. Otherwise, now let's look at tonight. Louisville 3.5, 55.5. Hasn't moved. UTEP 1.5. So that line's gone from UTEP 1.5, LTEC 1.5, back to UTEP 1.5. LTEC's quarterback's probable is questionable, but not really good anyway. And now, okay, Oregon State 3.5, 44.5 to Utah. And then Cincinnati 1.5, 49.5. And I asked my Utah friend, who I worked with at Ford, who's a BYU guy, so he gives me the lowdown on BYU. He says they got a lot of injury. I go, why are they dogs tonight? And he says they got a lot of the safeties are out, a linebackers out, so there's a lot of injuries. So I'm like, okay, because I'm wondering they should be favored over Cincinnati. Now the question is how good are their backups? For those positions, the backups shouldn't be an issue, right? Okay, I lost my two safeties. Cincinnati doesn't really throw the ball that well anyway. And then are my backups that bad? This is BYU. They're a pretty good program. You wouldn't think the backups are terrible. I mean, they're, if you're at Alabama, right, and the starter goes out and you got the backup in, I don't think that's a big problem. So now let's talk Cam Rising. It's up to the doctor. It's not like is Cam okay or not. He is in full practice. The only conclusion I can come up to I don't think the doctor's holding him out on purpose. Even though he's the Rams doctor, he's a Notre Damer. The guy went to Notre Dame. So he hates USC. He'd much rather have Cam Rising playing against him. So even though Cam Rising is fully in practice, no restrictions, you're not tackling your quarterback and giving him heavy hits in practice. It's not how it works. Practice, they wear the red jersey and you don't touch them. Where you maybe, you come up to them, put hands on them. That's it. You're not touching them. You're not tackling them. So the only thing I can think of is the surgeon thinks he can't take a hit on the knee. The knee's not ready to be hit. That's the only conclusion I can come up to. So the coach is surprised because the coach can't figure out why he's not playing. The Utah doctor says he's okay. So, I don't know. I don't know why Whittingham just doesn't say he's not ready to take a hit. Unless he's trying to protect them. This we have no idea. So it is now 1:39. We see Oregon State 3.5, 44. We don't know if Rising's playing or not. This is not, he's questionable, he's doubtful, he's probable. This is none of the above. This is, Mr. Doctor, what are you saying? Now, I have one basic question. Is Cam Rising flying to LA the day before the game to get his knee checked out? Is the doctor flying to Utah, or in this case, Oregon State, to get his knee checked out? Is the doctor flying to Utah, or in this case, Oregon State, to get his knee checked out? Is the doctor flying to Utah, or in this case, Oregon State, to get his knee checked out? Is the doctor flying to Utah, or in this case, Oregon State, to get his knee checked out? Is the doctor flying to Utah, or in this case, Oregon State, to get his knee checked out? Is the doctor flying to Utah, or in this case, Oregon State, to get his knee checked out? Is the doctor flying to Utah, or in this case, Oregon State, to get his knee checked out? Is the doctor flying to Utah, or in this case, Oregon State, to get his knee checked out? Is the doctor flying to Utah, or in this case, Oregon State, to get his knee checked out? Is the doctor flying to Utah, or in this case, Oregon State, to get his knee checked out? Is the doc to meet with Cam Rising and say if his knee's ready. This is the part that's really dark. I don't know. You would think Cam Rising would fly there yesterday and he'd check the knee out and he'd go yes or no, and then we would know right away. Why is this go to game time? Doesn't need to be. Unless he's in the locker room. All right, he's the Dodgers and the Ram medical. So he's going to the Rams. The Rams are at Indianapolis. So is he in Indianapolis now, the doctor, or is he still in LA? Is Cam Rising in LA? Is he in Utah on his way to Indianapolis? Is he with the Dodgers? What's going on with this guy? And why are we waiting until game time? This is the bullshit part of it. Unless he flies game time, game day. So is he getting in the plane tomorrow morning or today, flying to Oregon State, checking him out in the locker room 2 hours before the game, and then making the decision? Are they really waiting for that to happen? Seriously, is this what we're supposed to expect? Is this what's happening? I mean, come on, man. All I know is the coach, even though he's got the okay from the Utah doctor, the team doctor, needs the okay of the surgeon who did the surgery, the LA guy. So no matter what, he needs that okay, which he doesn't apparently get until game time or slightly before. And so the only thing I can ascertain is it's coming from the he may be flying. I can't imagine he's flying to the game to check him out. He's a patient, so more than likely Rising's flying to him. But does he fly every week? And if he is, then he would have already had to fly there. He's not flying there now, so it really makes no sense what the delay is. And that's the only thing is he meeting with him every week to check him out? And that's what we're getting. So that's your Cam Rising story. And all we can do is it's 3.5. If we see the game go to 1.5 or even, he's playing. I assume this is the no play Cam Rising line 3.5. So I don't think he announces he's not playing and the line goes to 6. I'd be surprised if that was the case, but it could be. Now, what do we do here? Well, without Cam Rising, we know they have a weak quarterback and a great defense. And we know Oregon State, Ugly Booglia, is going to choke because that's what he does against a good defense. Oregon State's got a fairly good defense, but not like Utah's. So I think Utah runs the ball and swarms with that defense, picks off Ugly Booglia 2-3 times. And I think it's an under game, like the UCLA game was 14-7, and I think we got to bet Utah under. The problem is if Cam Rising plays, I would lock this game taking Utah on 9.5 in a heartbeat. And why don't we know this until, an hour before game time? I mean, we don't know this now. Why don't we know this? He's not flying to LA now, and I doubt the doctor's flying into Oregon State now. So we're assuming the decision's already been made. I don't know. See, it's very frustrating and very stressful for us gamblers and handicappers because we're frozen. Like I look at the what's our free pick here? All right, Arkansas A&M game. I know the quarterback for A&M's out. I like Arkansas. I like Jefferson. I know he's playing. I don't know if some lineman stubs his toe in the shower and he's out, but at this point, I assume they're going to be fine. I know what I'm getting. I know A&M's quarterback, broken ankle, out for the year. I know that. The backup Can't be that good, but he's probably okay. So Arkansas has a big advantage with Jefferson. We saw A&M's defense against Miami, so Arkansas should score. We saw Arkansas light up LSU last week. So we're expecting Arkansas to be very competitive in this game. But we know what we're getting. We're not waiting. Is Jefferson playing? We know the A&M quarterback broke his ankle. We know he's out. We know what we got. We're not guessing. Only in the fucking Utah game are we guessing, which adds stress because we want to bet. I want to bet the game now, and I have another good game to bet with it because it's a teaser. And I can't do it. I mean, I can 99% go with the under, but what if Rising plays? It ain't an under anymore. Well, if Rising plays and it's 44.5, that means under 50. I'd rather bet. The better bet if Rising plays is Utah 9.5. Absolute lock. But if he doesn't play, they're not going to score a lot. So then the obvious lock is going under. I can't play either until I know what the fuck's going on, and why don't we know what the fuck's going on? So this is the problem. So that's today's and tonight's lines. Let's quickly run through the rest of them, but I'm not going to talk about them. Their free play is Florida, Kentucky under, Arkansas getting 12.5. All right. Penn State 26.5, 46.5 against Northwestern, who threw the ball all over the place. Clemson 6.5, 53.5 against a very good Syracuse team. Very live dog in this one. Utah State 4.5, 51.5 against UConn. UConn very weak again. Florida, Kentucky 1.5, 43.5. We like the under. They both have good defenses. South Alabama, James Madison, 2.5, 49.5. James Madison favored. Akron 2.5, 55.5 against Buffalo in this game. Akron's a W team. You got to like Buffalo because Akron's a very weak offense, and Buffalo's a very good over team. So I got the wrong team. They got the wrong team favorite, I think, here. Mini 11.5, 48.5 against my Lou Lafayette. USC 21.5, down to 72.5. This went to 73.5. Now it's 72.5. No, it always was 73.5. So if you pick a score in this game, so let's stop right here. They're not going to stop USC. Colorado could not stop Oregon. They couldn't stop Colorado State. They couldn't stop TCU. The only team they could stop is Nebraska because they don't really have a quarterback in Sims. Then he got hurt. They brought in Heinrich Himmler. So he's apparently better, but who knows? We'll find that out when Michigan beats the shit out of them. So we know USC will get the 40. What we worry about is like the Arizona State game where they gave up 28. What do we get in this game? What do we get from Colorado? Because Colorado is not going to stop USC. When USC wants to score, they're going to score. Because this defense sucks. This is like the Bears' defense. Well, actually, both teams' defense sucks. So is Colorado going to score? This is a very hard one because they're really not that good. It's all prime time, and all the other coaches hate it, and they'll look to run up the score. So I think of the options here, I think USC laying 15 is the best option. Think about it. Do you want Colorado in 27? Well, you know USC is going to put up 45. Is Colorado going to score? They're going to pull an Oregon on them where they don't score at all. So what do you get from Colorado? I think they score a little because USC's defense is not like Oregon's, and it's in Colorado. But that's about it. Let's see what my girl wants. Anyway, so I don't think we know SC is going to score. We don't know is what's Colorado going to do. They struggled a little against Nebraska, really struggled against Colorado State, even though they ended up putting up 42 points, and then really didn't even show up against Oregon. So we will see, but I think taking USC minus 15 got to be the best play there. All right. Tulane 21.5, 58.5. They've got their quarterback back, and he played last week. So again, he gets hurt. He's back. He's playing. Rising. He'll never play. 21.5, 58.5 with Tulane. Basically stayed the same. UAB is an over team. They put up 21 on Georgia last week. And then Tulane's an outstanding team and good quarterback. So we will see. A&M, Arkansas. So A&M starting quarterbacks out, and they're still favored by 5.5. This is a neutral site game at Jerry World. This is not in Arkansas, so don't be confused. They're a home dog. A&M's a road favorite. Arkansas is a road dog. It's split like a ball game. Half will be Arkansas guys, and half will be A&M. That's your free play. Take Arkansas and 11.5. Jefferson, the quarterback's out. That's all we can do. A&M starting quarterbacks out. We saw Miami light up A&M before already a couple weeks ago. Arkansas lights up LSU. No reason Arkansas can't stay in the game. There's no reason they can't win. So that's what we're going with. We're going with the starting quarterback, broke his ankle. He ain't playing. And unless Joe Montana's the reserve, I think we'll be in good shape. Central Michigan, 8.5, 47.5 against Eastern Michigan. Central Michigan played Notre Dame kind of good, losing 41-17, but they are an over team now. I thought they switched quarterbacks. He looked pretty good. And Eastern's an under team. So probably like Central. The line went from 7.5 to 8.5. BC 3.5, 52.5. Both teams suck. Kent and Miami. Miami 14.5, 50. Kent is a Z team. Their coach is the offensive coordinator for Prime at Colorado. So, they basically suck this year. So Miami does they do score a lot. So keep that in mind. I think we just need to stay away from the really strong defenses or play them on. Like, you cannot play Oregon State. You either play Utah if you hear rising or go under. But against these killer defenses, Georgia, Iowa State, even Oklahoma, Texas is strong this year. You got to just play. You either play the under in the game or you play them, but you don't bet against them because you're not going to do anything. California 12.5, 47.5 against Arizona State. Two of their quarterbacks, Drew Pine and the other guy, are probable, so they'll be playing. So it's a different Arizona State team. Cal is just running the ball. Georgia Tech 20.5, 49.5 to Bowling Green. Bowling Green, I believe, is the Z team there. Yeah, and Georgia Tech is a very strong offensive team. Indy, Maryland 14.5, 50.5. What do we got here? Mary is the A team, and Indy's the under team. Indy did hold Ohio State to 29, but then so did Youngstown State. So, don't know what we have here. UCF Baylor, 10.5. And 55.5. So the Baylor quarterback Shapen is out. Well, he hurt his knee. He was listed as questionable. We'll check tomorrow if he's playing, or we'll go to the injuries. Marshall, 14.5, 47.5. They're a B team. Old Dominion's an E team. E teams, I didn't know what to label them. They're like 26-26, 25-25 offense, defense. So just so you get an FYI. Western Michigan, 1.5, 50.5 against Ball State. Both teams are Z teams, unfortunately. Arc State, UMass. UMass favored over somebody, 2.5, 56.5. This is like the second or third game UMass has been favored. Hard to believe that. And they're well, this wasn't even. Now it's 2.5. Okay. 2.5, 56. Curious. Arc State's a Z team, and UMass is kind of an over team. They were scoring there. Michigan, 17.5, 39.5. This should be just like the Rutgers game, 35-7 or something. Nebraska, decent defense, just like Rutgers. Michigan to run it down their throats. Their quarterback sucks. I don't know why they chased McNamara out for this guy. This guy is nothing. Another loser by Harbaugh. Navy, 3.5, 54.5 over South Florida. Down from 4.5. Wow. The Sharps betting against Navy. Must be the government shutdown that's doing this. I'll talk about that in a minute. Purdue, 1.5, 53.5 to Illinois. I have no idea. Toledo, 13.5, 47.5. Before you bet, check the status of Finn, the Toledo quarterback. Great quarterback, hurt, questionable. And so if he plays, they're good. Northern Illinois is an under team. So Toledo's the A team. They're the best in the MAC. But if the quarterback's out, you don't want to bet on the backup. So be careful there. Texas Tech, 8.5, 52.5 to Houston. Georgia, 14.5, 45.5 to Auburn. It's Georgia doing what Georgia does. Auburn will be lucky to get first downs. Georgia started to score last week, but it was against UAB. So this should be a more normal Georgia game. Texas, 16.5, 61.5 to Kansas. I think this line's way too high. Kansas is a very good team, very strong offense. They're getting some defense that's playing pretty well. I think Texas wins, but it's much closer than 16.5. That line, I see Kansas being able to score on them, and I see them being able to hold Texas a little bit. So I can see this being like the Alabama game, 34-24. Hey, Bobby Bo, been waiting for you. Everything's fine. I just did the pro line, and now I'm just touching the college line. Put in his big three-teamer. Good luck to you, Bobby Bo. Hope you win. Then you can buy gold. Money line behind Bobby Bo. So what would you have done last night with the money line? You would have money lined the Lions, which you didn't need. They win easy. If you money line Green Bay, didn't matter. Your odds suck. And all I can do is shake my head. You money lined Auburn? You didn't money. Yeah, okay, thank you. especially not in the money line, maybe with 20 points, but not in the money line. So George is a winner. We already know. LSU should beat Ole Miss, and Bama should beat Old Mississippi State. So that's a winner. So what do you, if you don't mind me asking, so what are your odds? What do you bet 100? How much do you win? What do you get on that? 300? Well, we're waiting on Cam Rising. With Cam Rising, no question. Without Cam Rising, you go under in the game. Well, what do you think? You're taking two 14-point favorites, and LSU is a 2.5-point favorites. So, of course, the odds. Why would they give you good odds? Now, let me ask you this question, Bobby Bo. You can play the 3 in a money line. What's your bet? What's your odds? But if you made the same bet in a 3-team teaser, 6-point teaser, and you bet the same amount, what would your odds be there? Because what I'm driving to is you probably should play those 3 in a 3-team teaser. For the $100, you probably get $250 back. I doubt you're getting that 3-team is around 100 to win 125. All right, so what I guarantee you, your 3-team teaser, you bet the 100, it's probably about 250. Somewhere in that neighborhood, I would suspect. So 200 to 253 or something. What's the point of? Okay, it's your only really bet is LSU beating Old Mississippi. The other two are a lock, but that's why you're not really getting odds on it. Well, Georgia by 8 and Alabama by 8, and then you get LSU in 3.5. So if LSU does lose to Ole Miss and they're only a 2.5-point favorite, you got 3.5. So if they lose by a field goal, you're still a winner. The other two I wouldn't worry about. I mean, they're going to win easy. So you might as well get better odds. You pick the teams, so now play the better odds. Play your 200 to win 400 or something like that. Anyway, so by the way, our free play here is Arkansas over A&M because A&M's quarterback got a broken ankle. I get 12.5 with your buddy Jefferson, and then I'm going under in the Florida-Kentucky game. That's like 45. So I go under 51, and it's like, it'll be 17-13 or something like that. I've only done this once since I could not see any sides that were as reliable, and Bobby Bo was tired of getting his ass handed. Did Florida go to a favorite? I just read the line. You sure? I don't think so. Professor doesn't miss line movements like that. No, Kentucky's minus 1.5. I don't know what you're talking about. See, Kentucky on the bottom, minus 1.5. So in the Bobby Bo world, it's the bizarro world where everything's turned upside down. That's okay, Bobby. You're just trying to keep me on. You're testing me, keeping me on my toes. I know the way your mind works. I see gold's down another $10 today. I can't. I got to run to the gold store right after. It's only open till 5. This is where I have the money in the safe and I pull it out. I got an interesting gold story for you. Give me 2 more minutes to finish this up. So we got Wyoming 13.5, 40.5 to New Mexico. Vegas 10.5, 58.5 to Hawaii. This should be a high-scoring game. Memphis 2.5, 57 to Boise. Missouri 13.5, 54.5 to Vanderbilt. And here's Bobby's LSU 2.5, 66.5 against Ole Miss. So you're better off just playing this game in a money line because it's $1.37. If you take LSU, it's $1.37 money line. That's better odds than you picking 3 teams. I'll shake my head. Oregon. So here you go. Oregon 27.5, 4,500 to win 100. But look, if you took Stanford, you only get 1,600. This is why money lines are made offs, because you're either your money line, either Stanford 1,600 is correct, you should only be laying 2,000, or Oregon's 4,500 is correct, you should be getting 4,000 on Stanford. But why is there this huge difference in price? So it's like Oregon laying 27, but if you want Stanford, you only get 19. That's what the money line's saying. That's okay, Bobby. That's why I'm here. I'm here to fact check. Hi, Todd. Ready to put my teasers in at casino. Air Force, Bobby's big three. Stay away from Bobby's big three. Well, if you want to play money line and win $10, then go be my guest. Now, what casino are you at? You're in Vegas? And what is the two-team teaser odds? 11 to 10? Or 10 to 10? If you go to William Hill, they might even be even money on college teasers. They were a few years ago. But if you played pro, it was 11 to 10, or pro college was 11 to 10. So I'd like to hear your two-team 6-point teaser odds, please. Bobby Bo does not want to give. Okay. I was accurate about the Texas A&M quarter. Yes, you were, Bobby. You nailed that one. He got a broken ankle. Maybe Ric Flair gave him a figure four and knocked him out. Todd, Caesars in Bettendorf, Iowa. Wow. So I might have to travel to Iowa. What is the two-team 6-point teaser odds, please? Probably 11 to 10 there, because they're not MGM. MGMs are all 13 to 10. Never make a bet on MGM app or at MGM casinos or Bellagio. Never, ever, ever do that. You can go to Venetian. You can go to Caesars. You can go to William Hill, which is at the old Barbary Coast, whatever it is called now, has, I think, William Hill in it. That's the best odds there. Probably Palace Stations. The littler ones want your action. All right, so we've got Oregon 27.5, 59.5 over Stanford. It's going to be a bloodbath. Georgia State and Troy. Georgia State 1.5, 59. Georgia State, that nice quarterback, good offense. They're a good team. Georgia Southern against Coastal Carolina. Georgia Southern 6.5, 65.5 against Coastal Carolina and McCall, but they switched quarterbacks. They fucked up their offense. That's what they do. So we like Georgia Southern there. Oklahoma and Iowa State. Oklahoma 19.5, over under 48.5. And did that line move? No, that line stayed the same. You got two of the best defenses in the country playing. You figure it out. Texas State 6.5, 59.5 to Southern Miss. Texas State is the explosive one. Southern Miss is like a W team. East Carolina and Rice. Caesars bought out William Hill. Odds 11 to 2. 11 to 2? 11 to 2. What's 11 to 2? I bet 110. 11 to 1 is, or 110. 110, I bet 110 to win 100. What is 11 to 2? I don't even understand that. I bet. So if you bet to win 100, what do you bet? What do you have to do? Is it 110 to win 100? 11 to 2. What is that? That's 5.5 to 1. Yeah, how much to win 100 do you have to bet? 110? Or 112? I mean, what is it? Rice, 3.5, 46.5. Good quarterback at Rice. East Carolina sucks. Tennessee, 11.5, 61.5 to South Carolina, who played Georgia very well. Be cautious. Good game. Notre Dame, 5.5, 52.5 to Duke. Duke is not Duke. Duke is a very good team that crushed Clemson 28-7. I look for Duke to maybe win this game because both Notre Dame and Clemson played a very, very emotional home games and lost. And they are going to be flat this week. And they both have hard games. Clemson's at Syracuse. Notre Dame's at Duke. I would not be betting Notre Dame and Clemson this week. I do like Duke. Little afraid about betting against Hartman is my only drawback. I have no fear betting against Clemson and Uglia Buglia's old team. Iowa 10.5, 36.5 over Michigan State. Line was 11.5. Got to check the injuries there. I think Iowa kills them. They got shut out by Penn State. They're at home. Michigan State's a horrible team. Todd, sorry, 112 to win 100. As opposed to 110 to win 100, it's 112 to win 100. That's a new one for me, but okay, I don't mind that. That's still better than 120 to win for 100. So it's a strange line. Now, Todd, between me and you and Bobby, do they have the little cards where you can, pick 4, 5, 6, and they give you the odds and the lines are static? Do they have the teaser cards there we can bet on? Let me know. Send me an email, and we can send me a card or take a picture, and we can pick some 5, 6, 7 team teasers, especially this week. I got at least. Well, I like a lot of games, and they won't include any Detroit teams in it. SMU 22.5, 54 over Charlotte. Charlotte sucks. SMU hasn't been rolling like normal. New quarterback, he's still getting acclimated. You got to watch these new quarterbacks. Even the transfers, they need time to get adjusted. Pitt 2.5, 40.5 over Virginia Tech. Two lousy teams. App State 13.5, 51 over UL Monroe. App State is gold and UL Monroe is a Z. I think they're a Z. UL Monroe. There it is. They're an under team, but they're probably a Z team. TCU 13.5, 51.5 over West Virginia. The game's in Texas, so you know what to do. Air Force 10.5, 42.5 to San Diego State. San Diego State struggling. The Air Force probably could beat Ohio State right now. Very strong team, the Air Force. They do not throw the ball. I looked at the box score. 2 passes, 1 completion for 70 yards and a touchdown, and everything else is a run, and they run for 400 yards a game. So they're just going to run it down their throats. Alabama, 14.5, 46.5 to Old Mississippi State. You got to love Alabama here. I don't know. Milrose sucks so bad, but I think he'll run it in. But Mississippi State is not better than Ole Miss. Let's put it that way. Washington, 19.5, 65.5. DeLuca, the quarterback from Washington State, was injured last week, and he's questionable this week. It looks like he might be playing. Either way, go Washington, beat Army. I mean, Washington's for real. And then the last one, Fresno State, 24.5, 50.5. You got the A team going against Nevada, who's a Z team. Enough said. All right, let me mark in my scores from yesterday. Tulsa, 48-26. We had Western Kentucky, 31-10. And Jacksonville State beat Sam Houston. But look at Sam Houston, 28 points in a game. Wow. So I didn't pick anything. I had no idea and didn't want to get involved. So I didn't play anything today. If Rising ain't playing, it's Utah under. If he is playing, you get Utah 9.5. I would get the gold for that one. LTech, UTEP. LTech's quarterback's questionable. And then Cincinnati, BYU, where apparently BYU's missing both safeties and a linebacker and a few other injuries. According to my BYU man, So that's 5 guys. He's still bitching and crying about Cam Rising. He went to Utah, went to BYU, but he's from Utah, and I knew him from Ford. We still have contact, and he's bitching about Cam Rising, and I don't blame him. I says he's fucking us up. I could lay a huge bet on Utah if he's playing or on the under if he's not, wondering why the fuck they can't tell us now, especially it's a Friday game. It's not like Cam Rising's flying to LA now to go get it checked out. He's obviously in Oregon State. You'd think somebody could fucking tell us when, why do we got to wait till game time to find out if he's playing or not? You clearly know now he's playing, unless the doctor's flying to Oregon State to check his knee out. I'm assuming, Bobby, that the reason he's not playing, but he's able to practice, is he can't take a hit on it. When you hurt your knee, did you hurt an ACL, MCL? And if you did, what was the determining factor for you to get back and play? Was it the stretch? Was it taking a hit? Was it just you could run with no pain? What's going on here? All right. So, Todd, I'll check my email in a little bit. And again, so the only thing we can do with Rising is simply, all we can do is look at it. Right now, the line's 3.5, 44.5. So if this line goes to 0 or 1, he's playing. If this line doesn't move, is this the Cam Rising not playing line? Or does it jump up to 6? If they find out he's not playing, does it move to 6? So is this line, he's not playing and Vegas knows, and it won't be a surprise. In this case, if he's not playing, I'm going to hammer the under. I wanted to last week. I never did against UCLA. They played them 14-7. That's exactly the score you're going to have with Uglia Buglia, but he's going to add in 2 or 3 interceptions just for us, because he's Uglia Buglia. He knows we're going to play the game under if Rising's not playing. Should we bet that? How many interceptions Uglia Buglia will throw tonight? Because against this type of defense, he won't throw 50%. That I'll bet you on. If he throws 25 passes, he will not complete 12 of them. All right. So, government shutting down on Monday. Finally, some good news. So I did some checking. Will I still get my unemployment or my Social Security? And they said yes. Because it's automated and direct deposit. Before, you wouldn't get it because they still mailed them out. That's how slow and inefficient the government is. So finally now, yes, they can. So I shouldn't have a problem. So I can go buy more gold. Because I basically use that for rent and food, and the every month expenses is that. The curls and the gold is the safe money. And my whole goal now is to bridge where I don't put the money, I don't cash the gold in. So I need enough money to not take the gold and cash it in, especially at these prices. So I think what happened is the algorithm comes out and the dollar went up to 95 cents on the euro. So it looks like the dollar is stronger, which made the gold price go down. I'm not sure how that algorithm has anything to fucking do with anything. The dollar going up against the euro does not affect gold. The inflation isn't going away. Gold has a value if it's physical. So I'll still see my Social Security in a week. My friend, my BYU friend works for the Army. So he works for the Department of Defense. And he's not working next. They're not working till the government opens up. So this is the best news we've had. This will actually cut government spending, although they'll still probably print it. But I don't think the Federal Reserve closes because of this, unfortunately. No, I did not watch Mark McGuire. I kind of got up late. I was sleeping late. And I was watching something. I don't remember, but it was like, I got into the YouTube stuff. And, you go to one video to another, and before I knew it, it was 1:30 in the morning. Anyway, so government will be closed, but you'll get your Social Security, anything that's normal. So you won't get a paycheck. So if you work for the government, you won't get a paycheck. Then there's a strike at Ford and GM. The UAW is pissed about electric cars because they realize they don't use certain parts that they sell, like spark plugs and oil filters and stuff. You'll close the oil change places because there's no oil in an electric car. They don't like that you have to buy one. Not only that, I was watching John Strassel, and he was talking that there's not enough electricity. If everybody had to drive these cars, there's not enough electricity to charge them all. So you would not be able to charge your car. What the fuck is that? Oh yeah, I want to change to an electric car, but you know what? It's Tuesday. I can't charge it. I have to stay home. So I can't go to work, and I got to stay home because I can't charge my car. It's Tuesday. Unbelievable. Even if they wanted to, there's not a. And the other thing was that the natural gas and gasoline holds energy at like 100 times more than batteries. Batteries do not hold charges very well. The more you use it, the less they hold it. So that's the other issue with electric is the batteries will not stay charged, and you won't go 300 miles on the charge. Maybe on the first charge, after about 20 charges, you're going 100 miles. And then it's like you start the car, you got to go charge it again. And it's very expensive, and it weighs a lot. So the tires are different. The whole thing about it, when the battery goes, then what the fuck do you do? Go buy a new battery for 10 grand? Who has that? So the whole idea is just incredibly stupid. But now we have the UAW on our side going, we want to stick with the gas-powered cars. They realize they won't be able to sell the electric cars, basically. Bottom line, nobody wants it. And none of the UAW people want electric cars. That's what they're saying. We don't want the electric car. Why do we want to, that's not what we want. So they're catching on. There's no demand for it. Caught this story. And this I caught on Google, and I haven't read it yet. I just got the headline. So we're going to read it together right now. So, Euro USD inflation data creates make or break moment for common currency. What do you think this does for gold? So you got the government shutdown. We're going to read this story. We already know all the gold stuff, so I better run to the gold store real quickly. I got till 5, so class will be over by 4. Euro USD faces a stern test in the days ahead, battling divergent fundamentals, increasing risk aversion, and a technical backdrop that's as bearish as any in the G10 FX universe right now. Euro to USD among the ugliest charts in the G10. We'll be careful with the charts. The daily chart doesn't make for pleasant viewing for Euro bulls with the pair taking out support level. I don't like to read these chart things because they're all bullshit. Well, Germany and the Eurozone price inflation topped the agenda domestically. The ECB shot itself in the foot earlier. That's the European Central Bank this month by flagging the governing council as a majority view, believe it's delivered enough tightening to bring inflation back to 2%. So these people all live on Fantasy Island. So what they're saying is, well, we want inflation at 2%. Well, you don't want any inflation. You don't get inflation with gold. You only get it with fiat currency. And to think you can say, okay, now we're good, it's going to be 2%. If you've printed all the money you've printed, it ain't going down. Once you printed the money to zero, it's over. There is no, look at Venezuela and Argentina, Brazil, they all inflate their money. It's over. Their money didn't come back. Venezuela's on their 10th Venezuela dollar, and their inflation's like 700% or 7,000%. So it's over. The fat lady's done sung. You cannot reverse inflation with interest rates. So to say, well, we've reversed it and it's 2%, is written by idiots. This isn't reality. This isn't a show. Okay, we can reverse inflation by doing what? Because they think it's prices. So they're at the wrong fallacy anyway. They're not anywhere near reality. Now, that's not what I was hoping for, but that's okay. That's half of what this bullshit is the headline, but then the headline's not real. And the gold price is $18.47. Oh my God, it's on the sale of the century, $18.47. Holy fuck. So if we didn't know better, we'd think really there's a problem with gold, but we know better. So I'm in the hot tub, and we're talking about the Lion game. And the guy says, I don't even watch football anymore. He says, well, what can you do? I said, well, the only thing I can do is buy gold. And I must have already talked to him because he said, yeah, you got your gold, you're safe, and da-da-da-da-da. And I don't want to talk about it. See, when I talk to somebody about gold, I don't remember who I talked to. Except for the communist, I don't remember who it could be the same guy 12 times. I don't know it. So the guy is, I don't want to talk about gold. And I says, but the paper gold's the price going down, not the physical, as if there's two different things. He doesn't want to hear it. What the fuck's wrong with this guy? What do you mean you don't want to even hear the conclusion of what the fuck's going on? Who doesn't want to hear that? So I must have already talked to him. So he probably already knows. So I went to my lifeguard buddy, who I really like, really sweet girl, Julia. And so I was talking to this guy, and he doesn't want to know. And she says, well, sometimes you got to walk away. I go, I was just trying to help the guy. I wasn't, And she says, well, more silver, more gold for you. And I says, well, yeah, I mean, I can only buy so much, but so I told her I was going to give her some silver. So I got some silver for you. She said, oh, thank you. That'd be nice. But she doesn't work that much. So I'll see her in 2 weeks. But, yeah, you want to get close to a girl, give them gold and silver. Nothing says I love you like gold and silver. Oh God, it was funny. But yeah, she understood too. She's on our side. She says, yeah, my mom says get all my money out of the bank. My dad's buying gold and silver. So she's one of us. So I could talk to her. So I got to test them. What do you think about gold and silver? I got to walk away from you. I don't care how pretty you are. You're too stupid to talk to. So anyway, so that was the hot tub this morning, and that's why I'm very leery. Like I said, I'm just trying to help these people, and she says, well, they just don't want to be helped, or when the shit hits, I says they're going to lose all their money. I'm trying to help them. She said, well, that's their fault. It's up to them to listen to you, not for you to have to try to help them. Because you can't help everybody. And I go, well, I didn't really try to help them. We were like talking football, and that was like, well, what are you going to do? And I said, buy gold. And anyway, so just be careful with that. So fucking 1847, this is like a joke. I mean, again, it's the algorithm and it was fine. It was up to 1877 at 9:30. Then the 10 o'clock drop came and it keeps dropping from there. London trying to bail out in New York and JP Morgan, they're going to lose trillions on this because what they're doing is they're shorting gold and they're buying derivatives that shorts it. And therefore, maybe it's got something to do with the government closing. Maybe they think that's positive for the dollar because they won't spend as much. So maybe because they're not spending, the dollar will be stronger. So gold automatically goes down if the dollar's stronger, even though that heavy inflation of the dollar is killing it. So the fact the dollar's not worth anything, then why would this have any bearing on gold? The dollar's not worth anything, but it's stronger than the weak euro. Why is gold going down? What does gold have to do with what the dollar does versus the euro? So very, very strange. Anyway, that's also what's happening. I did not listen to Mark McGuire this morning. I haven't even been on YouTube. Shut the fuck. If you ever get a chance, you might want to watch this one. This is a Latin American girl who's on our side. She teaches socialism and communism from the standpoint of how bad they are. And you think she's Russian, but she's not. She's Latin American. And she just says it's all socialist Latin America. And these people want it. So she teaches how bad it is. So I got to give this girl, I got to give her an email or something. And Gloria Alvarez, but she's one of us. But her point is, if I go ahead and talk about it and show how bad it is, most of the kids don't realize how bad it is, but this is what's being taught in the fucking schools is, I don't even know if it's being taught or the way it's being taught, but all these young kids growing up in their 20s are for socialism and they vote socialism because they think, oh, good, I don't have to work and the government's going to take care of me. That's the mentality of these kids now. They're a bunch of fucking idiots. So instead of my mentality and Bobby's is we go to work and we work hard and we make money and we take the money and we invest it and we make more money. And it's based on our working hard. So we try to work really hard. And now the kids don't want to work at all. They just want to play video games. And they think, well, I'll make money on Bitcoin. How easy is that? I'll buy a Bitcoin and it'll go up to $60,000. And when it comes down to 20, it'll go up to 60. I don't know why, but it will. I don't want to work. So none of them have jobs and they want the government to pay for it. What the fuck is going on? That I was never taught of don't work and let the government take care of me. I don't let anybody take care of me. So I'm like, I don't want anybody, I don't want a handout. I tell Jenna, well, I help you because I'm nice. And, but I don't let nobody helps me. And I really don't know if I would take help. I don't really want to be like that, but, it's just the way, I don't know. I don't understand people. I'm not going to do anything and give me money. Like, fuck you. Why should we give you money? So I was watching one of these things and the guy said people get into habits. This is maybe a good thing, maybe not. I'm not sure yet. I was watching this Stoic, and it was pretty good, I think. I don't know. I got to watch more. I got to understand it. But it was saying how you should be able to not let people bother you and not let, things go wrong. Then there was this thing on electric cars, all the myths. And I told you a lot of what the batteries don't hold the charges. There's not enough electric. If we went electric, the windmills and the solar are not the answer. You would, what do you do on a cloudy day? What do you do on a non-windy day? You're fucked. And they don't hold the electricity holds, and the oil holds your car's energy for, you go out, you start your car, you drive it around, the gas is still there. You can drive it a week or two and then fill up again. And there's a gas station right there. And it's the same all the time. Why are you fucking around with it to go out to an electric car? And it doesn't help the environment. It's all bullshit. Anyway, some of the stuff the professor was watching yesterday. But I got to get a hold of this Gloria Alvarez. She's from somewhere in Latin America. I can't even think of the name. But she had an interesting way of that, like to say, oh, you want socialism? I'll show you what socialism is. I basically take us to Austrian free market, Adam Smith economics, saying here's what it is. And the Keynesians are bad guys. They want the government to control us. We want to control ourselves, which is freedom. We all want freedom. We work hard. We develop our skill set that makes us money. So Bobby goes and plays baseball, and he gets paid a lot for it. I do finance, and I get paid not what Bobby gets paid, but I get paid, very decently for my master's in finance and economics, doing senior financial roles. So again, you got to get the skill set that makes you money, that's in demand. And that's the idea, is to work hard and improve your skill set so you can make more money, because then it becomes limited. So what Bobby did was, there's not a lot of guys that could be an outfielder and hit 280. That's very limited. Not a lot of people can just go up and hit the ball and yet hit 280, right? So because it was limited, Bobby could get paid for it. That's why the NFL, if you're a decent quarterback, you get $30 million. There's not a lot of players who can do it. Problem is, they're paying the wrong players to do it. Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson are definitely not worth that kind of money. So anyway, that's Adam Smith. It's the division of labor. So his example of the baker. So you become a baker and you open up the bakery, and everybody comes and buys your bagels and your donuts, and you make a lot of money. But if there's 1,000 bakers, you don't make as much, only if there's a few. So that's what you really need to do. So you develop your skill set that pays you more. What these morons are trying to do is hand out money, the government, and kind of get people not using the skill set, not, I'm an accountant, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a baseball player, and basically becoming, I'm just going to sit at home and play video games, and you're going to send me money. Well, what happens when the government goes out and now they're out of business? Now, it's just some bullshit that'll be signed, and they'll all want to get paid, so they'll do that. But that's what they're going to do. They'll sign, and the government will be back, unfortunately. But I don't think we'll miss anything. What are we going to? Maybe the mail doesn't show up for a week. Outside of that, and the IRS probably closed. Oh, well, that's a shame. But they'll be back soon, and unfortunately. So but it's a sign that there's they're over budget. But in the scheme of things, it's the dollar is inflated to zero. This is really what we're looking for. And this hasn't changed. So if they close the government, this hasn't changed. When they reopen the government, this hasn't changed. And they could say, we got inflation out to 2%. And you just look at them like, today's Monday. You can't call today Friday if it's Monday, no matter how bad you want to call it Monday. And that's the same. You can say the inflation's 2%, but it's really 20. So you can say it's 2, but you're not even measuring it correctly. You're measuring it in change of price, which is not even the way you measure inflation. It's how much money you printed, and all you can do is look at the interest rates for cars and houses and realize that's what that's the inflation. So, I guess the guy in the hot tub is just, I don't want to hear it. Sounds like he's afraid. He's afraid he made a mistake. Maybe he bought gold and sold it and lost money on it. Maybe he doesn't want to hear his money's worthless because he's an older guy, probably in his 70s. So he probably is like, oh, shit, I'm fucked. I don't want to hear I'm fucked. Well, okay, you can put your head in the sand and not hear you're fucked, but you're fucked. Get your money out of the bank. Get your money out of the stock market. Just be safe. Buy gold. Okay, you don't need it. All right. If you don't need it, then you go take it back to the coin store. He'll give you your money back or whatever the spot's at that price, and you're covered. But if the worst happens, which I'm telling you will happen, then you're prepared for it. If you see the tidal wave coming and you ignore it and say, well, it won't hit us, then you get what you deserve. And so people who ignore it, who see the tidal wave and just ignore it, or on the Titanic, they see the iceberg, they know they've hit it, they see the water in the ship, and they choose to ignore it, what are you going to do? I mean, that's their problem. So we can't force people to listen. That's the hardest part. We found the goose with the golden egg. It's the golden gold, and we know what it is. We found it, and basically we're telling you, and then you're ignoring us. Well, you don't really have a goose that laid a golden egg. Nah, I got money. I'm in money, not golden stuff. And you just shake your head and go, how stupid can this guy be? And you really don't know what to do. So please be careful when you are trying to tell people. Like I know Bobby talks to his family and scratches his head going, what a bunch of morons. How did I get into this family? They're a bunch of morons. I know I had the same thing when I would talk to my family. It'd be very frustrating. So there's nothing you can do. You just sit there and go, okay. Oh, but I do want to go into, I got to go into alligators. We got to write a comment into alligator or into.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with.
All right. Oh, comments are turned off. I wanted to tell him that he won't let me comment that some of us Americans actually do buy gold. Like he thinks that none of us buy gold. I was watching this. This is interesting. Las Vegas, 1968. The Dunes is still there. I get tears in my eyes because it's like, that's what I liked about Vegas, not this crap. Then there's always the Roddy Piper, Paul Orndorff match. If you're into classic wrestling. Anyway, YouTube's good for some laughs. Too many fucking commercials, though. So then, like football game, I'm looking. The Lions is on Amazon Prime. Who the fuck's gonna run and got Amazon? We like football. We bet on it. You actually going to get Amazon Prime or Disney Plus or whatever, YouTube, to watch a fucking game for one game? I don't know if it's per game or per month, or you sign up for 1 month for $10 and then that's it, or does the subscription keep going until it, and then you got to call and say cancel. Who the fuck's buying one game? Or am I going to get on Amazon just to see the Lion game? I go on YouTube and I watch the highlight and off I go. So I got this strange email. So beware of this scam. So I get this scam in my email today. I have no idea who this woman is. I did not put in for a subscription. But if you notice on the bottom is a PDF, that's where they get the virus into your system, or they steal your account. This is so you click on that because you're going, what the fuck? I didn't sign up for a subscription for $4.89. I certainly didn't use my credit or debit card for it. I didn't go on Amazon. So it reads, account update, membership payment of $4.89 successful. Hello, hope you are well. I never heard of this woman. We're delighted to inform you your subscription has been verified and your payment of $4.89 has been successfully completed. Your continued support means the world to us. Have a great day. She doesn't say who. She doesn't say a company. So it would be have a great day, Amazon, or have a great day, Microsoft. Just Terry Chow. Who's Terry Chow? So I go in and I hit the detail to see who's Terry Chow. And it's Tara Chow WFG 971 at gmail.com. Not a company. Why would I have a subscription with her? So here's my response to her. This is how the professor responds. So I do respond and say, fuck off. But I don't open the PDF. That's where they get you. So you're curious. You don't want to get hit with this 489. What the fuck? Let me see what it is that she's hitting you with. But she's not hitting you. But you didn't do a 489 subscription to anything. So what the fuck is she talking about? So Todd, you're not sending me anything? I don't get anything. Anyway, so beware of those. If you didn't do anything and you're getting a supposed, she doesn't even say account number 1234. There's no, it's have a nice day, but no company. So if you get something from me, I say, thank you, the professor, or so if you're asking me a question or something, but if I got a subscription, wouldn't it come from a company? not from Tara, whatever her name was. So do not open that PDF or you're fucked because your phone or your computer will be virused. That's the whole point of what they're doing. But they're trying to cause panic on you because you're going, fuck, that's $489. Well, think about it. You didn't use your credit card, so you're not going to see a credit card charge. Did they steal my debit card? But then why would they run a subscription and give me a receipt on the bottom? They would just scam my. So when my credit card, my debit card's been scammed, it happened like once. It was in a different state, and I just happened to see this charge hit it. My Wells Fargo, I saw a charge for $18. I go, what the fuck's this? It's from New York. I don't live in New York. Haven't been to New York in 10 years. What are you talking about? So, but you don't get an email saying, oh, by the way, you owe us this. So if you do not buy something and you know you didn't give your credit card or your debit card, then do not hit the fucking PDF, because once you hit that link, you are giving them your information. It's a virus or a worm or a Trojan or whatever the fuck it is, but be careful with that. You know you didn't order it. So is it really, wouldn't it say Amazon or PayPal or, bookings or, American, United Airlines? Wouldn't it be something? Because if I book a trip, it's United Airlines or it's a Cheapo Air or somebody, it's pretty identified what you spend it on. And there's the last four of your credit card. So please beware of that scam. The other scam that I told you about is when I got the text, and it was the same thing. It was a text for something, and I owed something, or I did, and then again opened the PDF, and again I didn't open it, and then I tried calling the number, and it was from the United Kingdom. So obviously, what would the United Kingdom be dealing with me? So I blocked the number, and but I did try calling it. One was from New York, two were from the United Kingdom. So if you don't order something, do not accept it. Do not open up little PDFs or websites or anything. They're all viruses. They will get all your information. That's for your identity theft. And I know I wanted to open it and see what did I fucking buy or what did they think I bought, but I caught myself and said, I know. Then I checked the email and it was like, it's just a fucking person. It's not a company. So you saw my response. Man, she hasn't responded back because she won't. I'm scared when I get, we can save you $300 on car insurance or Medicare. We can, the Medicare pricing, and they're all trying to, you do have Medicare. I don't answer that question because I think that's the scam. No, I don't have Medicare. Then they're going to report me or something. So I don't answer those questions to people that call me. If I call somebody, then I've called the bank or I've called whatever. So anyway, so all my balance transfers went through finally. So my credit score must have really looked bad because before the balance transfers hit, the new credit card at Fifth Third showed the balance. So it was like a double balance. So now you owe, instead of 10,000, you really owe 20. Well, I really only owed 10, but it made it look like I owed 20. So now it should be by next month back to normal. But that's what you try to watch out for. So do your balance transfers if you have credit cards. There's 0% at Fifth Third. There's 0% at Wells Fargo. Do the balance transfer just to stop the interest at 25%. It's only going to go up. So to recap, the inflation has not gone away. The government is closed Monday, but I don't think the whole government. If you're getting a check from them, you'll still get your check from them because it's automatic direct deposit. You might not get mail. I don't know what's federal. It's federal government, so it can only be helpful that they're closed, but they are closed. My buddy works for the Department of Defense, at the Army, in Orlando. So he's near you, Bobby. And he said, we're told, we had a meeting yesterday, we're not going to, we're not coming into work Monday. So right from the horse's mouth, the government won't be open. So again, Russia and China can relax their, and see, I don't know. I was watching the news and I don't know. It was like, oh, the military men won't get paid. I'm pretty sure they're going to get paid. I don't think the news again is ignorant and has no clue. They said, oh, you won't get your Social Security. That's why I looked. And no, I'm getting mine. You're getting your checks. I believe the military are getting paid. Closing the government and not having any money are two different things. They haven't had money for 20 years, but they still print it. So that's all you need to know. So I will watch. Let's see who's on. Mark McGuire today. Here it is. Oh, alligators on Mark McGuire. I guess we'll have to watch it then. Okay. This is an hour long. Looming credit collapse sparks rampant Eastern gold stockpiling. Well, that's kind of a bad title. Alligator just talked about the credit on his other comment before. So I'm not sure what's going to be different. Sparks rampant Eastern gold stockpiling, like this is a new thing. We already know Russia's got 32,000 tons, China's got 60,000 tons. I think it's already started. Looming credit collapse sparks rampant Eastern. He'll talk about Sergei Fedorov and the Russians and the gold-backed currency. So it's worth watching because alligators on it. But otherwise, his normal guests aren't worth watching. They ain't worth shit. Or you can watch Rowdy Piper's best entrances. And I might have to watch that first. So anyway, definitely. Oh, here we go. We got alligator warming up live from the vault. All right, good. So that's something to watch. It's an hour. Sometimes I watch 20, 30 minutes. They usually have the little banners on the bottom. So I go to the gold one, and the ones I don't care about, I just ignore. And normally most of his guests are idiots. So it's nice when he has alligator on. But it's the same thing. We know the credit, we know the debt, we know the gold. There's nothing. That's why it's getting harder and harder to watch it. And I watch Egon, but Egon's the same way. Well, we're prepared for the collapse, and it is, however long it takes, but buy your gold. And that's all he says. And but it's the same. You listen to him next week, it'll be the same thing. We would like to know what's happening as far as COMEX breaking. That's probably the most important COMEX break, but it must be a hard answer. So therefore they just say it will. And so we buy the gold. It's I was going to title this one physical gold at paper gold prices. I was going to title it this. I might do a short one on that, but basically I can go to the paper gold price. And that's what's happening, then you're fine with it. Because if you don't understand it, you think the physical price of gold went down. And that's probably why the guy yelled at me in the hot tub, because he's going, oh, the price is down. So he's watching the paper price, but he doesn't know he's watching the paper price. So he sees the price drop and he's freaking out. I bought gold and it's going down. And you're like, no, it's not. That's the paper price of gold, not the physical price of gold. There's two different animals, and you're looking at the paper price going down, and we don't give a fuck because we've got physical, and there will be a physical price, and off it goes. So that's really what they don't get, that the price dropping is not the physical price dropping. it's nowhere near the reality price of physical gold. Like I said, add a zero to it at least. Next note is all the scams. So I went and got my hair cut, and the girl I didn't think she did a real good job. And it's almost like she's trying to rush. She's trying to scam me. She's trying to give me a trim instead of a cut. So it's a very quick haircut. Most of the time I hear is, you're there about 20 minutes, right? And she should be feathering this and making sure this is right in the back. And I find she just does a quick cut. We'll see you in 3 weeks type of trying to get repeat business. But being the professor, I'm like, I'm not happy with this. You didn't like this. You didn't do this right. Why is this over my glasses? This should be feathered back. This should be nowhere near my ear, but she doesn't do it right. She doesn't care. And she's just trying for the quick buck. But I smell that being the INFJ. I go, you're fucking scamming me. I didn't say that. I didn't really want to interfere that much for the $20 I paid for it. But I used to go to a salon and they'd raise the price on me every time I go. It was 20, then it was 25, and they wouldn't tell me till after, and I hate that. At least if you go to the meat counter and it says $5 for hamburger, you're paying $5. You choose, do you want it? So when we see the $20 steak, we go, that's $20. I don't want it. Give me the $10 steak. But if you go in and get your hair done and then you get the haircut and then they tell you, oh, yeah, no, it's not 22, it's 27. What the fuck? Why didn't you tell me beforehand? Because I knew you wouldn't take it. So if I didn't say anything and you got the cut, now services are rendered, you have to pay me. And so that's the problem with the salons, which I'd rather go to. But trying to find an honest one, they seem to be the biggest scammers is the haircut places. She says, well, we're raising our price from 20 to 22. I go, that's okay as long as I know up front. Then it's my decision to do it or not. But the haircut places, they don't understand. People that think their price has gone up, they're supposed to pass it on and that everybody will understand because the prices go up, are out of their fucking minds. It's all about the market. Will look like the other place I was going to raise their price to 25, for example. And but they blindsided me. They didn't tell me till after. I said, okay, fuck you. And I didn't go back. And now I found another place and they were 20. Now they're going up to 22. Okay. She loses her tip. Fine. That's what I'm willing to spend. But if you want to increase my price, it's like Chinese. Okay. I won't get the egg roll then if you want to raise your price $2 if I want to. So they don't understand is you set the price. It's up to us to take it or not. That's economics. That's Adam Smith. That's free market. We determine if we want to accept the price increase or not. And all these haircut places think, well, our price is going up, which maybe it is, maybe it isn't. What's the price? The only price that would go up at a haircut place, probably not rent, it's probably fixed, is probably the utilities. Otherwise, what do you got there? The girls, the scissors, those prices didn't go up. They have them. I mean, maybe, okay, you need new scissors. Did scissors really go up in price that much? So you're trying to take advantage because there's inflation that you think you can just raise your prices for haircuts in the worst time possible when all our other costs are going up. No, you can't. And so what do? You go less often. You go, give me a shorter cut and I'll see you in 2 months instead of 1 month. And that's what happens. So you buy the $10 steak instead of the $20 steak. But you got to know what you're paying beforehand. You can't get to the checkout and find out the steak's $20 a pound. But as long as the sign's there, this just happened to me. I bought a broccoli at my meat place. It's more expensive, but I was like, what the fuck? And so I took the phone and took a picture of the broccoli sign. It was like $3.29 for the broccoli. It wasn't weighed, it was that. And then the price on the register was $4.99 because it was Brocco flour or something. And I got charged $4.99, and I showed them the picture, and I got back like $6 because if in Michigan, if you overcharge somebody, they got to give you like 10 times the amount or something like that. So I didn't care about the $6. I cared about the the fact that you it was supposed to be $329 or whatever. But so now instead of telling them that, you take the picture, you show them the picture, and then they understand it. But yeah, I mean, but as long as you can't get blindsided. And that's the big problem with a lot of the businesses now. Like the Chinese, she at least has it on her menu. She changed the menu. She says, well, people understand my costs go up. And I go, people don't care that your costs go up. People only care about what they pay for it. So you went from $11.99 to $13.99. Now you're at $15.25. You're just about done, because that's 2 price increases in the last year since I got back from Alabama. And I just looked at her like, are you losing a lot of customers? She said, no, they understand. And I go, are you losing a lot of customers? Don't bullshit me. You can't bullshit me on this shit. I says, you can't keep raising them. You're going to be like the barbecue place. If they try to go 45 a slab of ribs, they're not going to have anybody in the restaurant. People will sit there and they'll substitute. They'll go somewhere else. They'll go to the meat counter and get hamburgers and chicken from the meat play and cook it themselves. Geez, for $100, I can be a cook if you want me to do that. So it's all economics, but it's just how stupid people are that they think, I can just raise my prices because of inflation. And so again, keep in mind, inflation is the increase in the money supply, creating it to be worthless, which causes prices to go up, but not the other way around. That causes interest rates to go up. So in that question, will they come down? This is we're all fucked right now, not 2008, where it was just the housing crisis. Oh, that's what I wanted to show you. So this is this is exactly what I showed you.
Have you ever heard of an economy being taxed into prosperity?
Tom, let's apply common sense to one of the festivals of democracy, the Democratic National Convention. First Lady Michelle Obama. She begins by describing her weak form of the argument. We don't need Barack Obama to breathe life into the economy because it'll recover on its own sooner or later.
If Barack Obama stays out of the way.
That's what I'm saying. The strong form of the argument is Barack Obama's actually been holding it down.
No question.
Oh, I know where this is.
There's never been a recovery.
Bill Clinton, once again at the Democratic National Convention, explained the answer.
Yes.
In Tampa, the Republican argument against the president re-election was actually pretty simple, pretty snappy. It went something like this. We left him a total mess. He hadn't cleaned it up fast enough, so fire him and put us back in.
The Republicans created the mess.
This shows that Clinton is truly a masterful politician. And to be a masterful politician, you have to have a lot of brass. And it takes an incredible amount of brass for Bill Clinton, who was the biggest factor in creating the housing boom that led to the bust that brought down the whole economy. It was during the Clinton administration that the federal government forced lenders to change their lending standards, which had been in place for decades, and it made real estate one of the safest investments around. Bring those standards down in order that they can get the numbers that they want for low income, minority, etc. Mortgage applicants.
Barney Frank, the ranking Democrat on the House committee that oversaw Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, said, quote, "I'm willing to roll the dice on Freddie and Fannie," meaning
he'd be willing to take the chance that the standards were being brought down too low. More than that, Attorney General Janet Reno under Clinton threatened lenders with legal action from the Justice Department if their numbers, in terms of groups and income levels of people who were approved, didn't fit her preconceptions. HUD under Clinton made lawsuits against lenders, charging them with racial discrimination based solely upon statistics.
So Tom, give me for the layman a 3-sentence summary, a soundbite kind of summary of what caused the mess we're in? It was not a failure of the market. It was a failure of
the government forcing people to lower the lending standards that had existed for years. And they said, well, the problem was blamed on greed. You don't satisfy greed by lending to people who can't pay you back.
All right. You insist.
There you go. I told you it was Clinton who did it, and that was the proof. This is why I sit there in the Big Short movie where these guys are figuring this out. As soon as Clinton did that, I knew what was going to happen. So you apply A happens, which leads to B, C, D, and E. So Clinton goes and says, you know what? We want minorities and low-income people to own houses. Banks, you got to relax your lending and let these people who you would never lend to because their credit scores were too low to buy it, or you're going to get sued by Janet Reno and you're going to get sued by the government. Hey, look, you're not letting a lot of poor people buy $100,000 houses and all of, so this was what? When was Clinton in office? The late 1990s, early 2000s? I thought it was the late 1990s. So Clinton's the one that fucked everything up. Yeah, because Bush was there in 2000 for 9/11 and his bullshit fixing of the stealing the gold from 9/11. So Clinton in 1997 or 1998 does this, and then it comes back to bite everybody in 2007, 2008, because these people should never have gotten a loan, but if the bank tried to stop them, they got sued. And Clinton said, don't worry, we'll bail you out, because as we know, the banks run the government, so the banks can do that. So this is, if you would have understood that basic principle, you would never have gotten into, I think I was looking into real estate trusts, and then after I heard that, I got out of them. Again, if you understand, so it's always caused by, there's always cause and effect. You let people with low credit scores buy houses, geez, all of a sudden the adjustable rate mortgages go up, they can't afford it, they default. Well, of course they're going to default. They never should have got the loans in the first place. That was obvious in 1997, 1998 when Clinton was in the office. That was obvious that was going to happen. Just like if you print too much money, it loses value. That's obvious. That's what's happening. So we are into gold, just waiting for the collapse like you got in 2007, 2008. It's no different than what Clinton did in the 90s, where anybody can get a mortgage, even if you don't have a good credit score, even though you can't pay it back. Yeah, I'm going to lend you, I'm going to lend you money. Bobby, I'm going to lend you 20 grand. Oh, your credit score is 0 and you won't be able to pay me back, but what the hell? I mean, that's how stupid. I'm, of course, just teasing Bobby. I don't mean it, but that is what happens. So if the guy can't afford a house, he's not supposed to be able to live in it. So he lives in the house and then he defaults because the rates go up and he can't afford it. And they put all these mortgages in real estate trusts. So if you watch The Big Short and you go, oh, they've never collapsed. Banks aren't understanding when there's a change made, right? You cannot use the New England or the Tampa Bay trends because Tom Brady's not there anymore. So you use Tampa's trends for the last 2 years because Tom Brady was there. He's not there anymore. You cannot use Tampa Bay's trends. So to say the housing market was fine, it's the safest thing to be in until they made the change of saying, well, bad credit scores can get mortgages. Well, now that's not the same as before. And that's what should have been Batman and the other idiots and Steve Carell should have caught, but they didn't catch it. So they tried to make it look like these guys were whiz bangers. And I knew that 5 years before they knew that, based on what Clinton did, because I understand Austrian economics. That's the beauty of it. You can see what's supposed to happen. That's why I get frustrated with the football game last night. What should have happened is it should have been a close game. Maybe the Lions win, but that's not what happened. the variables changed on me, but I don't know the variables are changing. The Lions ran 35. They ran the guy, whatever his name is, 35 times. Well, they didn't run him 35 times against Kansas City. They didn't run him 35 times against Seattle, or 35 times against Arizona, Atlanta. What the fuck's going on? You're changing your variables on me. And that's why that's what's happening in the NFL. That's why you tend to go to Mahomes and Herbert and those guys. They don't change the variables. But that's what you got to keep in mind. What is the government doing? And by the government having this huge debt, it's a variable change. In 2008, they didn't have the huge debt. That's a new variable put into it. So when they try to line up paper gold and tell you paper gold is this, that, and the other, look what it did in 2008. It's a shake my head, roll your eye moment going, I don't give a fuck. You didn't have the debt you had now. That's another variable. And hopefully we're getting off of paper gold into physical gold pricing. Why is physical gold ever priced in paper gold? I don't understand it. How do we get rid of it? Oh, it's JP Morgan in London doing it. Well, the best way, what's best for us is this whole fucking thing collapses, and then gold can go to gold. Now we got to watch the Russians and Chinese and figure out the safest way if we need to cash in some of it. We're not going to cash in. I got 55 ounces. I am not going to cash in 55 ounces. Probably never in my life. Maybe I cash in 1 or 2, or maybe I cash in 5-6 ounces of silver. Is there going to be a tax? I don't know. It's not necessarily, or it's a certain amount. So if silver is 3,000 an ounce, I might cash in 3 ounces at a time for 9,000 to stay under it, so I don't pay tax. I don't think there's 1099s on fractional amounts of gold, but again, who knows? But I think it's only on the ounce. So if I have a 1/4 ounce and I have a 1/2 ounce and I sell them, I don't think there's tax on it. And I got a lot of 1/10 of an ounces lately, which I don't mind. It's still gold. I mean, I'm not paying a lot for it, right? I'm paying $2.20 for it for a 1/10 of an ounce of gold. I'm perfectly happy with that. Because I'm not paying $2,000 for it. I'm just paying a 1/10, and the $2.20 is a joke. Times 10 is $2,200. Shit, gold will be $50,000. But that's really what I want you to think like. A happens, therefore B is going to happen. Therefore C is going to happen. We relax the lending so the credit scores can be lower. So we're letting people that can't afford houses buy houses. That's the cause. What's the effect? We're printing dollars to zero is the cause. The effect is the dollar is going to lose its value. The dollar is going to go to zero. Forget gold going to the roof. It would have went to the roof anyway once we got to physical. But because you inflate, you then make prices go up. That's what happens. So you've got to keep that in mind. You inflate, prices go up. That's the effect of what's happening. And then the other effect is you basically ruin the dollar, goes to zero, which is going to happen. And then gold gets priced in physical finally. And then all the digital dollars and all the other shit won't happen because there's no dollar. It doesn't matter. It's the reserve currency. There's no dollar. The dollar's gone. It has no value. The Canadian club has no value. I can't sell it. I can't give it away. Here, I'll give it to you for $1. I don't want it. It's got no value. Here, here's the dollar. Well, it doesn't have value. It's worthless. So that's really what you must think like that, right? That's what I want you to think like is if the government does something, what's the effect? If the government wants to inflate, gold goes up, prices go up. If the government does this bullshit. So the problem is when the capitalist government turns into a socialist communist government, which is what it is. They want to tell you how to live and do and all this shit. You're going to buy electric cars. That's not the government's role, and that's not free market economics. Free market economics is I'd like to buy an electric car. Can you make me one? Not, we're making you electric cars and therefore you must buy it. No. Free market economics is our choice. We buy what we want. I wanted to buy Canadian Club over Crown Royal. That's what the fuck I bought. So that's the key to it, right? So there's always something they do. So now you have this huge debt. Don't expect that nothing will happen. Don't ignore it. Don't think, yeah, that's okay. We've had it. We'll just print more money. You can't think like that because that's not reality. If Mahomes doesn't play, you still think Kansas City wins by 10 or 20? No, and he does have an injured ankle, Mahomes. I think he's going to play, but he did get injured near the end of the game. Somebody rolled up on his ankle. He was limping off, so his not at 100%, and I guarantee you the Jets will go after him. But again, there's cause and effect, and that's what you must understand. It's cause and effect, and that's exactly what you have. So keep that in mind. So think like that. But this time, this isn't a housing crisis. It's the debt. There's $1 trillion in credit card debt. You got this huge housing crisis. So it's all out there. It's not good. And whenever the government gets involved and you get away from the free market, they fuck it up. Now, if the government just gets out of the way and lets the free market handling anything, we'd all be much better. So I'm looking for a place that's more free market, like Switzerland, maybe Hungary, although I don't know. That's what I'm looking for. I don't know how free market Portugal is, but I know the U.S. isn't free market. They're becoming communist. So you got to be careful with that. Communist is the government runs things and tells you what to do. We don't want that. It ain't going to work. What are all these people crossing the border for? What the fuck is that? We don't want a bunch of murderers and drug dealers coming into the country. We already got enough of those. We don't. If you're going to come in, you're going to come in because you're going to work and be productive and pay taxes, which benefits everybody. That's what we want to come in. We don't want people that are illegal and drug people and murderers and people that are illegal, do illegal things and drug everybody with what's that drug that's killing everybody? Fentanyl or something. We don't want people like that in the country. We're trying to make the country safe, not criminal, and we want to make it growing. So we want smart people to come in. Those guys are welcome so they can be added to the economy. Just like you're a good football team, you want a good player. So Kansas City, they want, Jerry Rice, but they don't want Bill Rice, right? They don't need a guy who sucks. They need a guy who's good. And that's exactly the point. So pretty much economics. So I was warned in one of these videos, the dark side of kindness. So I was watching that one, and I was warned about being, helping. And they said the problem with helping is like the gals start depending on me to help them. And it becomes a dependency. Oh, I need money for food. I need your help. Send me 100. So they're counting on, it's a habit now. That's what he's trying to say. So it's a habit, and then you get offended that they keep asking me for money. Like I'm happy to help, but he says you got to learn how to say no. So they ask you for money for food, you got to say no. You figure it out on your own. I'll help you, but not all the time. And that's what happens. So that's what he said. So you're nice, but then you get pissed because you feel like you're getting taken advantage of, which I do a lot. And he says, so you got to say no to them once in a while. And then they respect you more because then they think, oh, he's just going to say yes. But I don't think I have that problem with Daria and Jenna that they don't respect me. I think they do. Jenna, I got her respect when I yelled at her on the vacation for not with my bad back, and she didn't come back to the hotel so she could walk me to the cab so we could go to the beach. And I laid into her on purpose. And now she's saying, you know, are you talking to me? And I said, well, not if you don't apologize. But you know, that's the problem. So you can be too nice and too generous and too giving. You just can't do it all. And there's got to be limits. Like Jenna initially wanted a fur coat. I said, no, and you ain't getting a fur coat. I'll give you $100 so you can eat. I'm not giving you whatever a fur coat costs, $10,000 or whatever. I think she wanted one in the Ukraine, and I think I miscalculated. I think it was rubles, so it was probably like $600-700, and I thought it was like $60,000. That's the problem when you go to these countries that are big, like Hungary and Romania and Ukraine. You know, you see the price and it's 140 RON, which is Romanian dollars. But then you got to divide it by 5 and you see it's $30 and you go, oh, fuck, for $30. That's a different story. But that's the problem. So anyway, just interesting things I've been watching. But I like this one where she actually teaches socialism so the kids understand it's not good. You don't want it. You don't want to do nothing and get things free. That's what that's what I'm not. That's what the girl at the haircut is basically a socialist. She's basically saying, you're going to give me $20 for a haircut, but I'm not going to give you a haircut. I'm just going to snip, snip, snip. And, you know, it was like, it took maybe like 5-6 minutes. I'm like, you can't cut my hair that quickly. It's a 20-minute thing to really give a good haircut. And so I'm getting a little pissed that this is a new place, and I'm getting a little pissed like they're not doing it properly. I mean, it should take 15 to 20 minutes to do a cut. If it's too quick, you're just kind of trimming it. That's not what I'm asking for. And then I need to find somebody else, but then you battle with the cost. So what I had at the other one was somebody gave a good cut at a good price. And you think they would compete for that. So this new girl should compete to keep me as a customer and do a half-hour haircut, not a 5-minute one. But that's what the scams are all about. They're just socialists, like I'm supposed to just pay her whatever, and I'm just supposed to like it. And I'm like, it's not how I work. I am very strict about that. No, this doesn't look good. I mean, it was like this coming over, and it was like here. And I said, no, this is not acceptable. I need this. This should be layered back. Fucking do it. You're a hair cutter. Cut the fucking hair the way it's supposed to be cut. Because I'll just find somebody else and that's the problem. And then you find somebody, and then they start fucking around with the prices. So again, you can't be blindsided. I hate that the most, being blindsided. All right. So we know what's happening. We know the debt killing the economy. We know the interest rates killing the economy. Anytime prices go up, you kill the economy. And anytime you ruin the dollar, you kill the economy. Right? If the dollar's not worth anything, the economy is not getting better. It's getting worse. So keep that in mind. So please be careful. We'll watch Alligator on Mark McGuire. The next thing he needs to have Egon on. I told him in the comment section, I said, well, fuck you guys. You keep having guests. I'm going to watch Egon. You know, so anyway, interesting, but it'll be the same thing. The debt, the credit, money. Once the money goes back to Europe and Asia, the party's over and the gold will go through the moon. So it's coming soon. But it's not a game. It's not Sunday at noon or 1 o'clock. We understand that. It's just coming. We know it's coming. We can see the tidal wave building and coming, but we don't know when it's going to hit us, or the iceberg hitting the boat. We don't know. We know we're going to sink, but we don't know when. In a couple hours. And, that's what it is. But it is funny, people trying to scam, people being ignorant of inflation. Well, my costs go up, I'm just going to raise my prices. And then people will not accept that. I warned the Chinese lady, I warned her on Saturday, how many customers are you losing? And she'll be more and more quiet. I think she lost customers when she did the first price raise. Now she does the second one, and her explanation is, well, the customers know my prices went up. Customers don't give a fuck about your prices going up. They don't care. You want to mark steak at the meat counter, $19 for the steak. We don't care. We don't care your price went up. I'm not paying $19 for it. But that shows you how the value of the dollar has dropped. And now it takes $19 to buy the same steak that was $7, a year ago. But that's, like I said, the ounce of gold was 35. Now it's, whatever, 2,000. And even that was all in paper. Well, I think paper was 73 or something. So I think when gold went from 35 to 800 in the 70s, I think COMEX was around there. But people are so stupid that they think that the paper price is the physical price. Is just, I'm missing something there, how you can confuse the two. It's like confusing the New York Jets with the New York Giants. I mean, there's two different teams there. Hello. So anyway, let's do 3:30. So I got to get to the gold store soon. Let's see. Do we have a Cam Rising update? Same spread, 3.5, 44.5. Cam Rising. Really? 3.5, 44.5. So the game's 9 p.m. Eastern time. I'd say by 7 we should have a good idea, and I would say then pull the trigger. Maybe you go on Google and go, is Cam Rising playing today? Well, why don't we do that now and see if they have made that decision and the line's just not moving. Gold's 1850. It's hysterical. So this is the latest 3 hours ago. Is Cam Rising playing in week 5 versus Oregon State? Let's see what it says. Probably nothing. So you get this little thing. I'll quickly read it. It's Friday, and that means we're getting an early dose of Pac-12. The major storyline ahead of the game will be the status of Cam Rising. Hasn't played while rehabbing. When he opted. Okay, he missed. Okay, so you're not answering the question of your headline. See, it's not Kyle Whittingham, it's the fucking doctor. So basically, there's no answer here. So all he's saying is it's a game time decision. Keep an eye on Twitter to see if he announces it on his show. So I guess the coach will sit there and comment, I don't know, Cam Rising's playing or Cam Rising's out. And this game is 9 p.m. on Fox Sports 1. So why is it a game time decision? Can anybody tell me that? The doctor either knows he's playing or knows he's not playing. It's not, the coach is not the one deciding. Cam Rising is not the one deciding. The Utah doctor is not the one deciding. It's the guy in LA, the Rams doctor. Why do we need to wait till kickoff to see if he's playing? Why don't we know now? He's either saw him yesterday, somebody flew to somebody, and he would know that he's ready or not ready, but he can practice at 100%. He can practice. So everything's good to go. Why isn't he playing? And why do we need to wait till kickoff to find out? That's what burns me. If you know the guy ain't playing, just say he ain't playing. And if he's ready, then say he's ready. Why is this got to be a surprise to the kickoff? What the fuck is that all about? Why is it to the kickoff to see if he's playing or not? And by then you can't bet it. You're fucked. So all we can do is by 7 o'clock, check the line. It's 3.5 Oregon State. If it goes, let's say 2.5 or 1.5, he's playing. I don't know if it'll move up if he's not, because I don't know if they factored in him to play or not. I don't recall last week's line with UCLA. Let's see. Yeah, that line was 5 and went to 3.5. And they played 14-7. I'm expecting the same score this week. So 3.5. I think it was started at 4.5 or 5, went to 3.5. So there was a little bit of line movement that they knew he wasn't playing. This looks like this is the line. If he's not playing, I don't expect the line to move. If he is playing, then it's 1.5. But I think Vegas probably has talked to the doctor already and knows he ain't playing. So I don't know all this other game shit of why we need to wait till kickoff to see if Cam Rising is playing or not. So what we can do is look at 7, make a decision. The line's not moving. I'm going to go under. And then at 9 o'clock, go into the box score if you don't have Fox Sports 1 and check first quarter, who's quarterbacking for Utah. It'll say in the stats, and then you'll go, oh, he's playing or he's not. And if he is playing, then we can bet him the rest of the year. And if he's not playing, then we are going to go through this shit every week where they seem to have to wait till game time for something. Hi, Kaylee. Sorry to bring this here. Why did you block Kenzie off? I didn't block her. She can come here anytime. But yeah, I mean, she's not blocked here. I block very few people here because it's a live show, only when they kind of get off topic of what we're not going to. This is the class, so you can, you want to talk football or gold or something, but if you start getting off on a tangent on some other strange stuff, then I will silence you. I don't block anybody here. So they can always come in, but she can come here and do whatever. But she can certainly come here. But anyway, so we'll know with Cam Rising. I just assume, I guess, by 7, although I don't know why that's the magic hour. Why that's the magic hour, but I don't know. What are we going to wait till? Even if we waited till 10 to 9, what are you going to do? So you got to be able to get your bet in. So Todd's got it right. He's at the casino. and he can get the bet in, I guess, up to game. Well, Todd don't know. Todd, why don't you give me an email, Todd, when you talk to the guys there and see if they can, if they have any information on it. But I might have to go to Iowa to get a good bet in Caesars. You got to get off of DraftKings and MGM and all these with the shitty odds. They're 12 to 10 and 13 to 10. You got to be out of your mind to do those. Anyway, so that's about it. Off to the gold store. It's open till 5, but these prices are so fucking inviting. What was it? It was at $18.50. So an ounce will be $19.50, which isn't a big. I paid $2,000. I paid $19.50. It's the same. To me, it's the same thing. The $50 is meaningless. We're talking about $30,000, $40,000 an ounce gold. I'm not worried about $30, $40. My quarter ounces, which is what I would buy now, will be a little bit cheaper. We'll see. But hopefully he's got any. The poor people that need to sell it is the problem, because they want to sell their gold, and they've got to sell it, but they get spot for it, but they get paper spot for it. So that's why I don't want to get to the point where I have to sell my gold at these low prices, because again, these are paper prices, and we want to buy in paper prices. We don't want to sell in paper prices. So this is like this is the sale of the century, buying gold at these low prices. It's ridiculous. But why there even is a paper gold, why there's only gold priced in paper, but we have this whole physical market, and the physical market doesn't have a price. What the fuck is that all about? How corrupt is this system? That's your JP Morgan and your government problem that you guys trust. That's the problem with it. How do you not have a gold price like you have a Mantle card price or a Rolex price? What is different about it? This, I don't understand why everybody prices gold in paper. It's not even a real price, especially when you can write 1 million ounces of derivatives, even though you don't have 1 million ounces of gold to write it with. I mean, that's such a fixed game. This is how corrupt the government is. So when I talk about it, that's a perfect example. Like, they're letting this fantasy keep going where the gold price is not, where it is not real. It's paper. Why are you letting these paper transactions go through without the physical gold? So I'm going to sell 1 million ounces of gold, but I don't have any. Well, then you can't sell it. You can't sell an option of gold that you don't have. Who the fuck is allowing this shit? And then you wonder why we think the government's corrupt when it clearly is beyond corrupt. I mean, that's really the problem, right? We realize it's corrupt when this shit's going on, if you can understand it, which is why they don't explain a lot of the shit, because they don't want you to know. And that's really the problem. This is why the guy in the hot tub gets all upset. He doesn't want to hear that he's going broke, and he probably bought gold, and then the paper price went down, and he doesn't understand, and he loses money because he buys it, and the paper price goes down. He doesn't understand. It's the paper price, not the physical price. So yeah, if you bought gold at 2,000 expecting for it to go up, you had to realize you bought the paper price of gold. You have to realize it's going to $20,000, $30,000 an ounce as soon as we break up the paper price and go to a physical price, which is coming. So you got to buy in paper, but you don't sell it back at the paper price. That's why you need a buffer of money that you need to be able to use so you don't turn your gold in at 2,000 an ounce. You hold it till it's much higher, and you probably don't sell a lot of it. You probably only need to sell 1 ounce, and you'll be set for a long time. Or you'll be using your silver to buy most of it. So Just very interesting what goes on and how stupid people are and how blinded they are to just believe whatever. Oh, the government said this, so I believe it. Because why would they lie to me? Oh, you mean they lie to me for votes? Is that why they fucking lie to me? Oh, I got to believe that story. I mean, that's insane. I mean, well, I guess that's what they're teaching you in school is to be a socialist, to not question the government, to just, if we tell you the sky's green, the sky's green. You can't question it. Oh, God, it's just so sickening, but that's the sad part of it. So all we can do is educate as many people who want to be educated, which is critical. You can't educate people that don't want to be educated. So I'm in the hot tub with the guy, and he doesn't want to understand paper and physical gold. There's nothing I can do. Like my friend, the lifeguard, says to me, she says, well, you know, if they don't want to learn, you can't make them learn, and more for you. And she gets it. It's very limited. So if he buys it, you can't, because you're going to go and there's not going to be any there. So she was correct on that point, that there's very little of it. And of all these people, so in other words, shut up, buy it, because if you let everybody in on the game, then you go to buy it and there isn't anything left. But I'm not like that. I just assume everybody buys it and then let's get the price up. And but that's why I've been buying it for roughly like 2.5, 3 years. But before then, I bought all the baseball cards and I was buying some gold, but not like I am now, unfortunately. This is $2.50 an ounce in 1995. God, why didn't I buy 100 ounces of gold for my graduation present? It would have cost me, well, you know, add 2 zeros to 250, would have cost me 2,500. So for 2,500, I'd be retired now. Oh well, we live and learn. Keep an open mind and try to go from there. Anything else before we go? I want to get there. I'm going to leave very soon for the gold store. I got to go get my money and see if he has any gold, or I might be going tomorrow. But we will figure it out. All right. Well, okay. So the free games again in college are Florida, Kentucky under 44 down to 50 or up to 50, and Arkansas A&M's quarterbacks out plus 12.5. That's your free teaser college, your free teaser pro. We had Green Bay with Seattle. Green Bay played like, I don't know what they, like a high school team. They played like Arkansas State, let's put it that way. So we moved the free play to now the Cleveland-Baltimore under with Seattle. So the Seattle play is still there. Bobby Bo, taking calls during class. Am I going to have to take your cell phone? Well, I can hold on a few minutes. I want to get to, you got till 4 o'clock. Then I'm going to buy some gold. Well, it's only open till 5, and he's got to have some. But see, what he tells me is when the prices drop like this, people don't buy. They get scared and think the price is down, so they won't buy. He says, I'm the only one who comes in when the prices are down to buy. And I said, well, I'm the only one smart enough to realize it's the sale of the century when I can get gold. Well, it's $18.50 an ounce, but you can't get it for that. So I'm going to pay 19. Oh, if there's a Cougar Ant, I can get for 19.20 or something. But that's the difference. People don't understand. I was telling my hot tub story, Bobby. I don't know if you heard it, where the guy, I tell him, he said, look at the gold price went down. You buy Rising Plane, or is he still fake? Well, I don't think he's faking the injury. So that means he limped off the Rose Bowl, and they carted him off, and then he goes to see a doctor, and it's all a fake. I don't think he's faking. But we'll see. Like I said, keep an eye on the line. I'd say by 7 o'clock, Vegas will tell us if it's still 3.5, he's out in 44. And if the line goes to even or 1.5, he's playing. And that's the only way you can judge it, because it's an Oregon State being favored. Yeah, once he threw the pick and the Rose Bowl, he became injured. Yeah, well, that's like that. That's like the Ohio State wide receiver Smith Hajiba, who played one down against Notre Dame and had a hamstring pull for the whole year. And he sucks at Seattle. He's not good. Okay, you didn't hear the hot tub story. I already mentioned it, but basically, so there's an old man. We're talking football. I bring up gold, and he must have heard me talk about it before. I don't want to hear talk about gold. I said the gold price is down, and I started to explain to him that's the paper price. We're buying physical. They're two different animals. The paper price is derivatives. It's not real physical gold. Nobody's selling real physical gold. They're all buying. All the central banks are buying it. And I'm talking the physical gold price. So I don't care that the price of the paper went down. That's not my concern. My concern is the physical price going to the moon with the Russians. That's what but he wouldn't listen to me. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this. And he walks to the other side of the hot tub. And I'm sitting there going, so he thinks the paper, he doesn't understand there's two prices. He thinks the paper price going down. Look, nobody wants gold. Why would I listen to you? And I just shake my head. I'm like, roll my eyes. This guy's a fucking idiot. He was probably a 70-year-old, and you know how they get in their ways. And he's figuring he can't ascertain there's a paper and a physical price. You can't understand there's two prices for two totally different things. There's the price of derivative gold, and then there's the real gold price. These are not the same, but this is, for some reason, this is used for this, which I can't figure out. So it's great to buy, but you don't want to sell with the price because they're using paper price. You want to wait to sell once it's hit a physical price where you add at least 1 0 to the price now. Okay. He's just another guy that's scared of the truth. Well, that's exactly what I'm saying is why doesn't he want to understand there's paper price and a physical price? He walks away. He doesn't want to hear it. He doesn't want to hear he's going to go broke holding on to this shit or his stocks. He doesn't want to hear that. He's scared. Poor little baby. He's scared that this is going to zero. And look, you're wrong. The gold price is going down. It's a fucking algorithm based on the U.S. dollar versus the euro, and because went from 90 to 95, the dollar's worth more, so therefore gold has to come down, which is not a correlation at all. And that's what he's doing. So you just sit there and you scratch your head, going, "Look, dude, you're too stupid to talk to." I hate when people are like, they won't listen, and I'm explaining it in basic English. I'm not using governmental talk where nobody understands what the fuck you're talking about. I'm telling him this is what's going on. Go buy physical gold and just sit on it and wait for the physical price. Ignore the paper price, like I told you and Luke. Ignore that price. It's not real. It's a fantasy. Yet everybody believes that's the real physical price. Even though it's the paper price, they have no clue there's two different things. I remember talking to managers at my other job, even at Toyota. These guys are a bunch of fucking idiots. They don't understand that there's two different things, a paper price and a physical. They can't understand it. I mean, these are finance people that are obviously the dumbest people in the world. How do you not listen and understand that this is two different? It's like a lion and a tiger. There's two different cats. They're not always lions. They're always tigers. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, well, what can I say? I don't know. It's not really worth talking about it here, but yeah, that's she blocked herself. I mean, that's unfortunate, but I'm not an idiot, as we know. So anyway, go to the gold, buy gold. Don't fuck the silver right now. Buy the gold. The silver really didn't go down. It's still like $22, $23. So it's not like it's 15. Only the gold's getting hammered. I assume if we really try to understand it, somebody wants to buy it, right? Somebody big, maybe China, maybe Germany, maybe it's the Euros, maybe it's the Brits. Somebody wants to buy the gold, and they're forcing the price of the gold down so somebody could buy it at these levels because it's still fixed. That the physical, you look at the paper price to buy physical. And that's really what it is. So if we really read between the lines, that's what's happening. And I want to show you, Bobby. I don't think you saw. Did you see this YouTube? Did I showed this? Did you see it? This is the perfect example that I told you about with the housing. Let me know if you saw it. I'll re-show it. It's only about 2-3 minutes. Well, I'll do it anyway. Okay, I'm going to re-show this. Fucking commercials.
Right. So, common sense, use your head. One common sense question is, what went wrong? How did we get into this mess in the first place? And Bill Clinton, once again at the Democratic National Convention, explained the answer.
Yes.
In Tampa, the Republican argument against the president re-election
Okay, don't watch it, Bobby.
pretty simple, pretty snappy.
This explains the housing crisis that I've told you about already.
He hadn't cleaned it up fast enough, so fire him and put us back in.
The Republicans created the mess.
This shows that Clinton is truly a masterful politician. And to be a masterful politician, you have to have a lot of brass. And it takes an incredible amount of brass for Bill Clinton, who was the biggest factor in creating the housing boom that led to the bust that brought down the whole economy. It was during the Clinton administration that the federal government forced lenders to change their lending standards, which had been in place for decades, and it made real estate one of the safest investments around. Bring those standards down in order that they can get the numbers that they want for low income, minority, etc. Mortgage applicants.
Barney Frank, the ranking Democrat on the House committee that oversaw Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, said, quote, "I'm willing to roll the dice on Freddie and Fannie," meaning
he'd be willing to take the chance that the standards were being brought down too low. More than that, Attorney General Janet Reno under Clinton threatened lenders with legal action from the Justice Department if their numbers, in terms of groups and income levels of people who were approved, didn't fit her preconceptions. HUD under Clinton made lawsuits against lenders, charging them with racial discrimination based solely upon statistics.
So Tom, give me for the layman a 3-sentence summary, a soundbite kind of summary of what caused the mess we're in. It was not a failure of the market. It was a failure of
the government forcing people to lower the lending standards that had existed for years. And they said, well, the problem was blamed on greed. You don't satisfy greed by lending to people who can't pay you back.
All right. You insist once again that if we base this election on the facts, the Obama administration would be, quote, doomed. But listen to President Obama himself, last clip from the Democratic National Convention.
Can't listen to that guy. So Clinton was the one that caused the housing crisis. And I knew that he did it in 97 or 98 because in 2000, we know Bush was president with 9/11. So he made the standards lower. So now you would accept people that should never have gotten a mortgage to get the mortgage. And then as it came up to 2007 and 8 and the adjustable rate mortgages were now rates were going up because they're adjustable. They're not fixed. They're variable. So if I give you a 2% mortgage, That's for a year or two. Then they go up to 4%. Then they go up to 6%. So it's the worst mortgage you could be in. You want to be in a fixed 30-year for 3%. That's all you got to pay. You don't want to be in a variable at 1, and then it goes to 3, and then it goes to 5, then it goes to 7, and you're fucked because you can't afford it. That's what they did. So when you watch The Big Short or Margin Call, these idiots on Wall Street were clueless that this was going on. But I knew that as soon as I heard Clinton do that, I knew A would lead to B to C, and I knew that. So when it happened, I wasn't surprised at all. In fact, I knew that's what was going to happen, just like I know gold. And that's why I'm shocked how stupid Batman was and Steve Carell and these guys on The Big Short, the guys on the Margin Call, how they're all blindsided by that. And the guy in obviously Attack on Wall Street, how all these banks are not smart enough to understand that or knew they could make the loans because they had to, and they were all going to get bailed out because the banks run the government, and the banks and they're saying JP Morgan, well, don't worry, we're gonna bail you out. Don't worry about it. So that's what happened. So again, A leads to B, leads to C, leads to D. We're gonna lower it, so you must loan it to minorities and poor people. That's not how you do a loan. You check the credit. Are you going to be able to pay me back? And if you can't pay me back, I'm not going to loan you the money. So they forced. So again, you get away from Say's law and free market. In the free market, you would have not given the loan. But when the government gets involved and they start turning communist on us and saying you have to do it, well, I don't want to do that. Well, you have to. We're going to sue you. No, that's not free market anymore. So when you hear people say we're not really a free market, that's what they mean. When the government imposes things for you to do, you're not free market, and that's why you get out of business. I don't want to give loans to people that can't pay me back. Why would I want to do that? Yeah, here you go. Here, Joe. Here's $500. And, I'm not going to pay you back. Oh, that's fine. Don't worry about it. I got plenty of money here. I can just hand over to you and don't ever pay me back. And the problem was then they made all these real estate trusts that the Attack on Wall Street guy buys for $60,000 with all worthless loans because these are people that never should have got them. And then the whole collusion was they rated him AAA. Well, this guy's got a 50 credit score. These should not be AAA rated. These should be triple B rated. These should be junk bonds. And then you wouldn't buy them. No, I don't want the junk. I only want the people with the credit scores of 700 and above. Those are the REITs I want, not the ones with the credit score of 20. But that's where, and I don't know how all these Wall Street banks are blindsided. They would have known that they're all pieces of shit. The guy in the Big Short knew. The guy who made the bad phone call, he knew that these mortgages are bad. But I'm like, dude, you would have known when Clinton did this in '97. Where the fuck were you? How do you not follow the steps? So that's really what happened. So that's why I'm saying you got to watch what the government does because it has the effect. And that's why I'm talking about the debt. The debt has the effect. This $35 trillion debt has an effect. And then anyway, Bobby, we have to watch this. Alligator is on. He's on Mark McGuire, so we get a double header. So this, I haven't watched it.
If you're like me and hate,
I'll have to watch it, but haven't watched it yet. So that's my homework after the gold store. So I got an hour to get there, so I got to leave very, very soon. But that's what I do, right? Clinton does that. It's going to fucking fuck up the housing market. You inflate the dollar's going to zero. You buy gold because the dollar's going to zero and the price is going to go up. So if A happens, B happens, C happens, D happens. And I'm very good at that. Too good of it. Anyway, alligators should tear Mark McGuire a new one. Only when they missing. You see me email them going, I'd love to be a guest on your show. I'll rip you apart and spit you out. I come to win. I don't fuck around showing you, hey, here's a gold dollar. Here's a dollar that's got gold in it. Like, dude, we got coins. We don't need a dollar. We don't need paper that's gold. We have gold coins. It's already there. He's trying to make it to be the dollar, to be the medium of exchange, so you can go to the grocery store with a 164 ounce of gold. The part he's missing is, what are you going to do when gold hits 50,000 an ounce? And now you still can't use it, but he's not smart enough to figure that part out. Oh, thank you, Bobby. I appreciate that. Somebody has to be the Mahomes, so it might as well be me. Yeah, I think me and Egon are probably the smart. Alligator, sometimes he's not an Austrian, so sometimes he misses it. Egon gets it. And Mark McGuire, I don't know. Sometimes he brings on a guest and he doesn't. Well, what do you think of gold? Like, Mark, tell him what you think of gold. We don't want to hear this idiot's dissertation on it. We want to hear your. That's why we're on your channel, to hear you're talking about the Russians and the gold and the Sergei Fedorovs and all the other guys. What's the news? When's COMEX breaking? What the fuck's going on with the physical market? That's why we're watching you, Mark, not to hear some fucking guest. We're here. Our guest today is Canadian Club 12-year. When's COMEX going to break? Well, fuck, Howard, I don't know. Soon. I mean, that's about what we have with these. We don't want to hear them. Oh my God, you would make them look like, exactly. And don't forget Vince Young, Steve Young, and Bryce Young. I don't know which Young to use. They're all kind of running quarterbacks who suck. Although Bryce doesn't really run that much. Richardson's more like Vince Young and Steve Young, bad passers, and they run a lot. If you notice, the Niners didn't win with Steve Young until he sat in the pocket and threw. He ran. They couldn't win anything. Anyway, that's it. So I better get going. It's 4:06, and by the time rush hour, and he's got to have it. So I am going to leave now, and I will report back tomorrow. So last week I bought a 1/4 ounce and 2/10 of an ounce very cheaply, and they went down another $50. So I'm expecting it's like trick or treat at my house. There'll be all this gold. The kids will come, and here's a 1/10 of an ounce, kid. I love it. Bobby, what I'm doing for one of the lifeguards, really like her, real nice. She likes gold. So I says, you know what? I got some silver. I want to give you some. And she's in school and she doesn't have money, but her parents are like us. They like gold and silver. So I said, I'll give you some silver. And she didn't say, oh no, I'm engaged and I can't. She said, oh, that'd be great. Thanks. And I said, perfect. But she doesn't work that often. So it's like in 2 weeks. She'll be there. Anyway, with the federal government closing, I will still get Social Security, and anybody you know, tell them that. That's an automatic thing. It doesn't have to be mailed out, so you will still get it. But the Department of Defense is closed. So if we get invaded, the Army and Navy are closed, or at least my friend lives in Orlando, Bobby, and he works for the DOD Army. And he said, we went to a meeting yesterday and it's closed. So it'll be closed until they open the government. But I still get my check, so that's all I care about. Until gold goes up. My hands are so tied with this gold going up. So I keep telling the girls, just wait. We'll buy an island when gold goes up. Just wait. I can't cash it in at these low prices, especially now. You're really fucked. If I took my ounce in, I'd get $18.50 for it. It's worth $20,000, and because it's priced in paper, that's all I'd get. So at least before it was $2,000. So that's why I don't mind buying it at $18.50. And the line, but silver didn't go down. It's amazing. Silver's still at a nice high price. All right. One more look at Cam Rising. It's 4:09, and I am out of here. the camera 3.5, 44.5. So nothing has changed now, which means he's not playing. So we hope he plays. You're welcome, Bobby Ball. I will. Well, tomorrow's game days at noon, the big noon game. So I'll be on at 10, 11 o'clock on Sundays, and I'm going to figure out what the fuck to do with teams like the Lions and Green Bay, because Detroit plays a 37-31 game with Seattle, a 20-6 game with Atlanta, and a 34-20 game with Green Bay. What the fuck is that? I can't deal with that. I don't know what the fuck. Are they going to be scoring a lot or not scoring a lot? A running quarterback or not? The Seattle quarterback lights them up for 400 yards, 37 points. The Green Bay quarterback, who's pretty similar, gets got 3 points at half. I mean, it's just insane. Anyway, I got to do some thinking on that. But I do have a lot. I do have a lock, a pro lock, and I gave you the free games. Take Seattle with the Cleveland under. Take Arkansas and 12 with the under in the Florida game. Yeah, is that you, Bobby? 772, a Florida number. All right, I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a nice day. Go buy your gold. Hurry up. It's cheap.